turn that volume down a bit. Okay.
Have you released this game yet or not yet?
I have a Steam page.
Oh, nice.
And this is now.
Okay, so we're gonna go over a few things here, but before we do, let's fix a few skin weight issues.
Is it like a
Not sure why, but I'm getting some weird result on the skin, so for me to fix this really quick, let's do the split workflow. Okay, so I'm gonna select the right side character and we make sure that it has
or it's like your leveled up character?
Oh no, you start with those, but you can get new ones.
weird. It behaved weird. Let's just not be very picky, but
That's bugged.
whatever. So we selected the right side character. Let's make sure, because I have this weird stretching effect. So let's go to the component editor under skin, smooth skins. Let's make sure that it has nothing to do with the left side. Like for example, this right here.
Like after I paid, yeah, see, like that, they're supposed to
All
spray.
the left side.
But
Wish I
could've
can
played this
select them
game
all,
and never
but we
knew that
can't.
was a
But
bug.
at least we
We're
could
wrong.
get rid of them one by
Let's see
one.
if this one is supposed. If this one works.
Not sure if they actually made it where like we can click the tab. Oh, we can click the tab now. What if like we press
Why are they all
0?
going in the same
Yeah,
direction?
see the same issue. But
Hey, man, I don't know.
we can do this and then this
Or did you
and then 0. Nice.
I
So
modified
there's
that
a faster flow. We can click the tab, hold control, deselect few of them, press 0 and enter. Anything to do with left, this is what we're going for. We're trying to get rid of all the left side
It comes
skinning,
down to in the end, it's
because we have only the right side selected, which if we did this right, the character should behave better when it's animating. His skin would not stretch as much,
focused only on I'm going to be a specialist
and it would be a better skinning.
things, and that's great. But then
And
time to that, and then
let's see.
is the final output of that being used in a game or something else? So it just depends. Like and if that was the final output, and you just wanted to make that,
And
find a way to
we have a few more.
as assets for the marketplace, or
It's a tedious workflow, yes, but it's necessary because this is like cleanup work. You don't do this all the time, you only do it like when you're done with your character.
Fluid, linear fluid, or whatever, fluid linear.
Yeah,
Flow Ninja Fluid, Flow Ninja.
Most of that stuff as well can be customized and used because all you have to
So
do
we
is
have
change
only right side.
parameters, color.
Let's make sure that we don't miss anything.
I guess how the smoke.
The less left side that we have, the better performance for the character. So far we only see R, underscore R, except this one, the pinky.
But also, what's great about things like that is that they are designed
Okay,
to
and
be
ring.
modified, where if you make something for a game, it's for suiting a purpose. The
And
chances of you
let's make sure that we don't
modifiable is
select any R by accident,
to make
because
something
that will
editable
cause
and
us
configurable takes more
a
time
lot
and
of
investment than just making the effect straight up for its one particular purpose.
cause me to work more.
It's nice to make things flexible and customizable, so you can use it as many different ways to reduce time later on in your game. But then that's not always necessarily the case. It's a bigger time investment sometimes.
Okay, so far we only have the right side.
Programming. I'm like, this is great. I can make this.
This is gonna be great. The character is gonna feel so much better
at the end, I go, wait, I kind of
once we are done. We don't care about splines or anything, but we just only care about underscore left. We can't afford having anything to do with the left side on the right side of the character. Obviously, right?
When it's better instead to just do it.
So
do
the
it once
ring.
off. As soon as you go, oh, I've already done this before, but I need to now use it in a different way, then you can go back and make it.
I wish there is a way that we can like separate
But the first go, you just go
like
make it and get
L's
it in.
and R's, but there isn't. So
It also helps you to.
so this is so far
so
far so good.
Between, oh, this is what
Yeah,
it needs
we
to
don't
do.
have anything.
Verse,
Okay.
this is what it currently does.
What we do now
Here is the common
is we
elements
lower
between what
this,
it
we
needed
hold
to do now
shift
that I need to configure. It's
and
kind of
select
hard to get
everything.
access to.
It's going to select the
So
other
why don't I
side, but
expose this sort of stuff,
we're gonna have to
expose
get
these
rid
things,
of
and use these options to make the actual effect.
anything to
But you
do
can't do
with
that until you've
this
seen it
line.
in a second. You've used it.
And if we selected it correctly,
You can do
then we shouldn't have any problems.
what
Okay.
I could do.
This time is the other way around.
Yeah, I fixed it.
We can't afford having anything to do with right. So
A quick question. Does any one of you here work with PCG? Before?
Oh, you mean that cool new stuff that they've got rolled out for 5.2 and they're implementing further in 5.3?
Yeah.
Procedural generation.
Okay.
MK's been playing around with it, yeah. But just keep in mind, anything you do with it now is subject to significant change. It's still very experimental, and that's from Epic.
I tried to follow, or I didn't follow, I just took a
I'm trying to get this done. Since this is extra work, I was not prepared
blueprint
to do Maya animation.
a way to basically spawn whatever
And
you do with
since I'm
PCG
doing it,
specific
I
to the
thought maybe I
specific
could
layer.
record this video and hopefully I'll cut it later on and make a good
I can't believe that it should be that difficult.
few good videos from it.
Well, I guess they will probably have it.
Probably I would record my voice.
It's not
Since-
already in this. Somehow,
Sound really tired. Alright, so let's just make sure that we don't select any left by accident. That is the worst mistake to make. Because it is like you can still probably undo nowadays.
But I don't mean
Back in the
it's
day we
material,
couldn't even undo
basically.
because the joins, those are vertices and it doesn't know which vertices. Okay, almost done, right? It's gonna get better, like the more we do this. Like you should do this 3 times
You have it in the old
or
procedure
like
spawning.
3 times, like back and forth. Because the problem is that you're not really skinning anything. You're basically saying don't assign anything to this joint. And the problem with that,
My mic was muted the whole fucking time.
That's why I kept saying, good, good.
It's okay, MK. We could just feel the hatred seething through your silenced mic.
we can probably do few of them, which is gonna help.
You're trying to spawn only. You have it working on the landscape itself, but you want it on one layer.
So this is
Yeah,
R.
and then I had to, as I looked at someone who made
Just
a
keep
video
looking
where
for
he
R.
made his own blueprint. Yeah,
Keep in mind
PCG,
that if we're gonna skip like a page,
I don't remember the name of it, but it was a specific blueprint actor. When I put in the code,
so L R.
but it won't work. From what it looks of it, it had another one as well.
You probably made a PCG function.
Yeah, some sort of function. Let me see if I can find that.
Okay, it's time to get rid of it. Okay. There's more. And we're gonna eventually it's gonna get easier because like the more we do this, the more the vertices knows which joints to you know, interact with. It looks like we're clear.
Yeah.
We don't have
He
anything
made the
else.
blueprints called sample
Yeah,
landscape.
we don't.
And he has something else called
So
project points.
if we deselect everything and then
Yeah,
come
he made
back
a
in
BCG
here
blueprint element.
and we start like moving things,
Okay.
we should notice that
Can you share your screen?
we don't have any issues, right? The arm is not really bending the way it should,
Okay.
but like I found it to be like better to do it this way. And you might disagree, but
Yeah, project points on landscape is another node.
you might disagree, but like this is the best band that you can get from like 3D softwares, because you don't want it to kind of like smooth a lot.
Only set up the
You don't want it like that.
sample landscape blueprint.
You don't, because it's gonna actually shrink the arm.
This, I think I
You see?
made it
So
exactly the same.
what we do is let's go to bind pose. Love to use that.
So I'm confused. What's the problem you're having?
Okay,
It
so
doesn't
far
show on the
we fixed the skinning.
layer.
But you
Now
got the
let's
stuff spawning
actually
everywhere
also
else.
rename two things here.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna restore,
all across the line.
delete, 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 delete,
And you
delete.
have the sample landscape.
Okay, and then press F, delete
I
this,
made the node.
and save.
I made it.
Um,
Set up the blueprint.
And then the layer.
We shouldn't have any more problems with this, but if we do, we will.
Matching the
Okay,
same
1 second.
thing.
Yeah. But I don't have the project
Got you.
project points on landscape, and it doesn't show how to set up the project points on landscape. So I don't know what the fuck that is.
Wait, let me look at his video.
It's more like a brag video where he brags about the fact that he had.
Yeah. I mean, it looks. Wait. So you have the sample landscape. You have that.
Okay. Sorry.
Custom notes. I haven't gone in and checked all of his videos.
Okay, guys, please forgive me. Like I usually do like 2-hour streams. So if you ever try to stay 2 hours doing a stream, you would understand how it feels. Those guys take a week to make one video for you guys. I make the entire video in one day. So it's a little bit different.
Showing how he sets up.
Okay, so we're gonna duplicate this file.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And move it somewhere. So let me show you what I mean here.
You could just skim and look and see if he's editing a blueprint.
If we go to the library, which is inside of my
It's gonna be the
SSD,
exact same kind of blueprint as the one that he's doing the sample.
and then
landscape.
under
You have to
the
figure out where he's doing that, and then
scene, we have the rig file. We're gonna create a folder and we're gonna call it enum. Okay, we're not gonna need these two anymore. We're gonna actually delete them,
Doesn't look the same as it does in the other ones.
and I'll show you why. Okay, so we're gonna save scene as, and this time we're gonna go out scene, and under the animation tab we're just gonna save it. We're gonna save an MA file, even though it's recommended to use binary, but I like to use this to be my main animation folder, and I don't want it to be binary because I still like to modify the characters whenever I'm working, so hopefully it doesn't give us any issues with the mocap.
Oh, cool. My input.
Okay. And the reason why also is because I would like to apply the skeleton after and transfer the joints name once I'm done. So I can still retarget the animation one by one after I'm done. Let's demonstrate that really quick together. Let's see. So we're gonna go to reference and we're going to reference an animation. Okay. And we're going to take the easiest one, just demonstrate. Okay, let me show you how that looks like. That is the animation. If we play, it's gonna be like that. So let's go ahead and disconnect. And then move it to the right. Maybe like around about here. And this is what we're gonna do, right? You're gonna play the animation. It's playing 24 frames per second. And a 60, I think it's a 60 frame animation, not sure.
Well, I do know. I think
48, okay.
you could do like a texture day.
So what we're gonna do here is also rename it to
if you want
a
stuff to spawn,
pose, and that's how we are gonna name all the incoming animation.
on the forest layer,
Okay.
and it is a texture day.
We're also going to click on my favorite button here. Where is it? And we're going to go to our mocap, our epic file. I made that file manually. You can download it. It should pick up the advanced skeleton, but if it doesn't, it's because it's not referenced. So the problem with this is that it doesn't have a straight-in workflow. So I really don't know what to do at this point, except there is nothing. So it should work out of the box, but we'll see. Okay, stop. Set it to FK and select this, click my magic button. Okay, let's connect. Okay, and that's how easy it is to get the animation imported. Of course, like I had done a lot of work in the background to get this working perfectly. But this is what I meant here, is that sometimes the skinning weight needs to be done like on the spot, like, you know, like this, or like this. Let's see if there's any more issues, we'll see them. And Yeah, you're not gonna find that many issues because we fixed most of them. But in case you do, you know what to do. Call Ghostbusters. Alright. There's also an issue right here. I don't know where is it coming from, so I'm gonna also isolate. There's skin weight, selection, use my hammer. Use the hammer.
The
Yeah.
timer.
And that's pretty much it, you know?
Alright. Time to stop fussing around and get back to work. These things ain't gonna move themselves.
Why the f is that happening? Oh my god, dude. I'm gonna lose my mind. It literally didn't change anything.
But it
Okay.
crashes now routinely.
No, it's just fucking.
Now that we have the animation, we like it. We're gonna create
There we
a
go.
plane.
Oh, cool. Now that I opened the blueprint and closed it, it's working fine. Oh my.
Yeah, Unreal
Okay.
sucks.
Just to demonstrate the movements
Now
here.
it's like broken again.
You see how like the feet like that? So what we disconnected the root. So we can come back in here and lift this up
Don't know where
to the point that we are satisfied like that.
don't understand how to
We can also even like if we want to go crazy,
Drag off the variable, and then you can pause or anything like that. So you need to promote the handle.
and
to
that
the
would be
variable.
like perfect, right?
The handle that is
Now
promoted
if
on
we
the
bake
creation of
this, if we actually connected it using
the
FK
return value of the
so it
extra,
just goes-
then we
it
could
just
have
goes to
IK
handle.
bake, but we can't.
yeah, that's the pointer.
So we can like actually run
But
it
you're in
and
Blueprint,
then
not C++, so you don't need to worry about dereferencing or anything like that. Just whenever you create it, immediately afterward promote it to a variable. Name
and
it
this will
something
just
or other,
convert
timer
for us the
cache,
keys so we don't have to
and
do it
then
manually.
anytime you need it, just call that
Okay.
variable.
And that's it for you. Disconnect and remove. Okay, so thank you so much. This is all we needed. We needed the animation and we took it.
Okay.
We could
So
also
set time.
go
Okay,
to
so I have the
layers,
timer instead of a tick, 'cause I
have
can't,
our
I
picker
mean,
loaded,
already got a tick in my
select everything,
blueprint.
and then underneath here, we're just gonna click this
run
button.
every 0.5
And what
seconds.
this would do is it would create us like this brand
sure the
new
timer's set
layer
to
to
looping.
work in it. Okay. However, our animation is still there. So anything that we add,
So
so
remember,
this
the
is
timer
we're
will
gonna
not run
rename it.
immediately. So it'll run every 0.5 seconds after it's set. If you want something
We're
to run
gonna call
immediately,
it
you need to pull off
overlay.
the execution on the timer and
Lay.
run whatever your code there.
Or repose. Okay, because we're reposing, right? Okay, so to easily do this is because we lost, because of that animation is quite
So it's
not good.
working,
We're gonna kind of like add some
but not as
you know.
intended.
some extra stuff here.
Oh boy.
Let's see. I think we're gonna be playing with pool vectors because the pool vectors definitely shouldn't be here.
On my landscape for no reason. Literally for no reason.
Something like that.
Mhm. So, Corazon, you can run
And then,
debug text
um,
on your
if we
timer,
actually,
make sure that's working. You can also put a
move
breakpoint
it-
anywhere in there, and then
I mean,
make sure
no,
that's
it's running. It's just so I'm doing it on the key press and it's checking like the power
Like
level.
that.
That's good.
Click both of them.
And then
Click on the second layer.
so basically
and
what I'm
key.
doing is I'm doing a line
Now,
trace and
copy that
spawning
key,
a particle system
Go
where
all the way to
Uh-huh.
the end and paste it.
and I want to be able to when I move
And
the
what this
camera,
did is it
want that-
maintained
that-
the pool vector in that
that,
location.
marker or that
Okay.
line trace to
And
update
this would help
and
us
move
maintain
with
the
the
hands.
camera,
We're
but
also
I don't
gonna
want to
fix
keep
that
firing
hand
line traces
because
on
that
this
hand is
one
holding a
line
rock.
trace.
Okay, he's
Okay.
jogging with a rock.
So just to be clear here,
So-
how is the system going to know where it needs to be if you do not line trace to where its new destination needs to be?
Something like
Or
that.
are you getting a location point?
Okay, so
So you probably do need a line trace every 0.5 seconds and update it every 0.5 seconds.
And we're gonna
Okay,
select
so
these
how do
two.
you-
And
don't be
since
afraid
we're
of that.
playing
Line
with
traces are
location
not
this time,
heavy
we're
when you're using
going
them in
to
context.
select also the layer.
Okay, so here's my thing.
Remember, this is
Okay.
quite tricky, so
Okay,
sometime it will
so
trick
we're
you.
gonna update the location
Copy.
of the line trace every 0.5
And
seconds.
paste.
Or we're gonna fire a line trace, and I want to update the position of
And this is maintained the hand in a
Niagara
fixed,
system.
yeah,
kind of
Niagara,
a fixed
but I did-
location.
but
It's
it-
not,
what it's doing
it's not
is
really a
it
fixed
doesn't
because
matter
sometime
whether
it
I've
will
got the
still
button
overwrite.
pressed or not. It's
We
just
also have an
constantly
issue with
firing a
that
line trace.
thumb.
Okay, then
We
in
have
that case,
few
you can also
issues
pick up the
here.
Released. So on released, you're going to clear and invalidate the timer based on the handle that you got.
So let's
Because right
do
now
this
you're
really
only
quick.
starting it. You have to end it. Make
Yeah.
sense?
Key.
So I was trying to end
Okay.
it after it would spawn the Niagara.
Actually, sorry. We forgot to.
So that's probably.
So you're putting a clear and invalidate afterward, but here's the thing. If that button is still pressed, and depending on the input type you're using, if it's still registering as pressed, then it'll start a new timer right after it. So here's the other thing too you might want to do, because if you're spawning a lot of these timers, which it sounds like you're doing, you might want to run a check before you start a new timer and just say, hey, is this timer handle valid? So before you spawn a new timer. So before you
Okay.
spawn a new timer, just drag off the
Key.
variable and say, hey, is this timer valid? If so, don't do anything.
Okay. And
It is not
to-
valid.
like, I'd love to have both of them
Okay.
like open.
Then on
So what I'm
released,
gonna
you're
do
gonna be
is
clearing
I'm
and
gonna
invalidating that timer, because when you clear and invalidate the timer, you're flagging
I'm
and saying,
gonna
hey, buddy, we need to clean this
remove
up
this.
here, and also let them know that the next time they press, we need a new one.
I don't
So
need
that's
the
gonna solve
timer.
most of your issues.
I do need this, but I need it right here.
Anybody seeing this?
I will look.
Seeing what? I'm bent over a table trying not to cut my fingers off.
Look at this shit.
Wait, what am I looking at?
I'm losing
Okay.
MK. I'm going to come bleed on you.
Oh, you space.
Usually I don't need the other channel as much, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna
Using
remove
static lighting
this.
and everything.
Uh-huh. You're using
What?
static lighting.
There's nothing here.
Ah.
What the fuck? It's like, you see
You're in
this-
a world partition now?
Alright,
Oh
fine.
yeah, I am.
It
Wait.
just isn't loading anything.
Wait, actually, no, I'm not.
Okay. I wish I can hide it, but I can't. So it's giving me that
It's
this
whole
two
big
together,
square. It's
which
not
is
supposed to be
not
there.
cool,
It should
but
look
whatever.
black like this.
So we're gonna always like
Okay, go back into editor.
we
because
can
that's
turn
a
it
default
down
default
and up,
material.
but we're gonna leave it like
Go to your.
Just make sure
that
this one is
whole
always
square
selected.
you've got right there.
One big landscape, yep.
And the reason why I did this is
We'll
because
click
I
on the
wanted
square
to
in the
grab
center.
Wait, did-
those three
Did my static lighting get turned back
See?
on or something?
and I wanted to key them,
Hold on. So
and then I
okay,
wanted
just
to
be clear,
copy
the square in the center, the one that has
and
the world default
paste.
texture.
Oh,
on it.
what the fuck? That's why, dude. That's why.
Okay.
Okay. Because I was gonna say that all looked perfectly normal.
Dude, because
Okay.
I got rid of C++
And
out
this
of the project,
is
and I like
what I
redragged
was
the
talking
content and all
about.
that shit.
Why Maya
Well, I think
is
one thing,
definitely
when it
better
did
to
it kept, like, it turned
retarget
static
in.
lighting back on,
Uh-huh.
which I'm running Lumen, so there's no point in having right now.
We also could fix a few things with the feet, like the toe right here.
Static lighting
Oh,
always
it's cool.
ruining shit, man.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. There we go. Okay. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Alright, thank you.
I see like this really odd skin weighting thing that I don't know how to
So I
fix,
connected
and
it
it's probably going to be
6
very
times.
hard to fix right now.
There we go. Oh yeah, dude, I wish I could fake Lumen.
Way around your border there. This is one of Unreal's. We're not going to tell you what this debugging is.
Yeah.
But you know that there's an issue with a post-processing shader that's currently compiling. If it goes away, happy. If not, you have hook sending shit that's causing all kind of weird problems.
Yeah, check this out though.
It's been in the engine for a very long time.
It's starting to look pretty decent.
I regrettably cannot look at it right now as I'm trying to get the rest of this set up, but I will as soon as I'm able.
Mine does like that,
The flashlight material.
but it doesn't actually like move the vertices a lot.
And then obviously like the
But
bolts
it does help it to understand. Okay, enough skin waiting. Alright,
I still need to do the
so let's go ahead and play this and see how it looks like.
whatever material, actual flashlight. This flashlight isn't gonna be the one that I use though. That's
Let's also, in display, we're gonna hold the controllers, hide them, and then hold the skeleton
flashlight can hit something.
and hide it as well. Okay. So that way we
It's
can
pretty
see
good,
better.
actually. You see that motherfucker from all the way over here?
Sorry for the background noise. It's just I kind of I'm in a Discord server and I'm like listening to everyone while I'm talking.
Again, I think it's weird that your light source is not showing up as.
You see like this
Yeah,
area
it's
here,
not, like actually
like how is like coming out.
Yeah, I'll fix that
Um,
once I get an actual flashlight I'm gonna use. I didn't feel like
I could fix
spending
it.
time on a material for like something that I'm not gonna actually use in the final game was like, or like even like I just made the beam, so I think now that I have the beam, I'm gonna finish the rest of the flashlight and get an actual mesh because I have a mesh from something that I bought, but I wasn't gonna use it yet.
Just put a I don't know how you made the flashlight, but you can set up the mesh with this.
Yeah.
If
It's just a
different-
static mesh right now.
Yeah, so if you set up the UVs to have
To be honest,
layer or
I think I should like blend space it
right?
because like if I try to skin weight this is gonna be very funky
Oh yeah.
and it's gonna look very bad. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a skin weight blend shape and I'm gonna fix this using blend shape. I think it would be better. Let's just pay attention to the animation and the walk cycle.
Turn it on and off and stuff too.
This is the walk cycle. Done in about
Yeah, exactly.
I think 15
So I'm
minutes.
gonna turn on and off the spotlight and the material parameter, whatever. And then also I've been exposing everything as I go along. I'm exposing everything so I can grab it on blueprints too, or cinematics. I mean.
Okay.
So I'm gonna be able to get in and out of.
So this is how to do that. Once you have a clean rig, you can have as many animation layers as you like. Once you're satisfied, what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab both of them, okay, and we're just gonna merge. But let's check the option. It says merge to top, merge to bottom. So yeah, we want to merge the top on the bottom. Layer hierarchy, include children's. Automatically, it's probably going to be override adaptive. And
Not really.
let's try that.
I made like a building generator.
And apply.
I can show you.
Okay, let's check that out.
Why it's not an option in there already to specify by layer.
I don't remember.
Horizon drone.
where to change it.
Did you get your timers all sorted out?
Not really.
Okay.
It's
Okay,
probably just.
so this is good.
I'm trying to call this custom again.
If we check it
Go ahead and
now,
screen share and I'll talk you through it.
and we select all
It sounded like
the
you weren't too far away.
This is good.
all the keys, this is our keys. This and this layer, we're just gonna
'Cause
separate it
I
again.
think what I'm doing is I'm just calling them trace.
So we can lock this now.
I'm just calling the whole thing over and over and over and over and over, and it's
And
just doing
I'm
that.
sorry, not this one.
Correct, because when you while you have it pressed, it's going to be firing that according to what you told me about your input. So instead, if you just make sure that you're checking to make sure the timer is not active before you fire it again, and then you clear it when the release is done, then you're gonna be good to go.
Now, here's create an empty layer. Create a layer from selected.
I mean, wait, hold on a second. I think we're doing this wrong.
This confuses me a bit because like it's supposed to create the layer here, but it's not. It still has the keys. So the problem with that is
on tick activation from the scoot left.
Yeah. Okay, so pressed.
Yeah. Okay. So you're using R. That's a hard key bind right
Okay.
to keyboard. So
Dude, I think my PCG project's gone.
scoot right.
So we're checking the glove, steady.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
this is where I'm saying.
so what we're gonna do is go to
Here's your
keys,
problem, bud.
bake,
Your marker update there.
and we're gonna bake all the
That's
selected.
running,
Okay.
Twice.
Driven channels,
every
control
tick.
points, shapes,
That's
timer,
your input there. So get rid- here's the
new
thing, what you do
layer,
is get rid of your
and then
timer.
clear, remove.
Okay, yeah, get rid of that
attribute.
whole chunk of code right there and go straight
I
from
think
your set
is it
to your
clear?
line trace by
I'm not
channel.
sure which one is it.
Compile save.
And then smart
Check.
bake
Same thing. Scoot right.
and keep on bake
So this
keys.
is
Cool.
the
No.
marker.
We don't want to
Okay,
keep
so
any
It'll,
keys.
it'll just it'll
Ah,
show you what
It doesn't get
does.
baked.
No,
It's
hold
too
on,
bad.
hold on. We're not done here. So you're
Okay,
spawning that
so
every tick. Why are
apply.
you spawning that every
Nice,
tick?
that's cool.
Okay, and check this out. This is baked result. If we
For every
disable
input,
this,
that is.
we click here, we find that we have nothing.
As long as
Same
you're
thing.
holding it, it's putting the marker down.
But
and
if we
holding
check
it, and then
this,
when you let the button go, he goes
Okay.
to the marker. The character.
Scoot to the left. Okay, in between set and line trace by channel, add a print text node.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay, now
Hardest
connect.
part
There
is
you go.
getting
Okay, so yeah, we'll just leave that as hello, hit compile and save here. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna verify that this is running on down. If not, you're gonna need to start doing some enhanced input because enhanced input is what's gonna give you what
I'm
you
not
want
sure
with your
how,
timer.
what is it baking. I think it's baking
So go
60
ahead and play
frames,
this and hold down your arc.
which is supposed to be 24. So I'm not sure what happened here.
Let's have a look here. Now again, I'm trying to juggle this on my knees while doing other work. Okay, so you're holding down R,
Okay.
and it only fires it once. So press R again and hold it down. Okay, and again.
He'll just keep doing that. He'll just go
Okay,
wherever.
so that's only doing a single activation.
Right.
All right, so have you worked with enhanced input before?
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Control
do
Z
you already have
is
enhanced input
wonderful.
set up in this project?
Like you should see how many
Okay, great.
projects
So,
we broke
grab
because
one
of that.
those inputs, or rather, go to your inputs folder there.
Okay,
and
once
add
we
your
set it up,
input, for your
The
hold down,
timer and everything
add that to your input
is
context.
it's setting it to 60,
Okay.
which is 24 actually. So I'm not sure what happened there.
Bingo.
And also the
And again, sorry, I'm trying to do this while I got the laptop balanced over to the side while I'm getting gear packed.
not sure what happened there, but
We'll call it that.
So-
We need to put it in here, right? The
Yes, you need to
mapping
put it in your input mapping context.
it made it 60 when we merged. I didn't know how. I don't remember seeing anything to do with
You can also click the little keyboard icon there and then press the key on your keyboard instead of having to do the drop down.
so I didn't know
Something to
that
keep
you
in
could
mind.
actually oh shit, no.
Okay, great. Now go ahead and save all this, then go back to your blueprint and replace that R with the enhanced input action.
Is that what we're
Okay,
calling it?
so let's go to option.
Content.
whatever
it doesn't actually tell me
the input
anything
action
to do with
itself defines
frames,
its
but
name.
it did
It's
change the
reflected in your
frames. I'm not sure if
project.
this is a bug or this is how things are supposed to be. It changed everything to 60
And
frames.
again, like normally I would do a full sit down video
Not sure.
demo of this out for you, but right now I'm trying to
But that's not a problem.
carefully pack things. into
We don't even need
not at
60
my
frames,
regular desk. I'm allowed.
but that's even better for us, right?
There it is.
So
Sounds like
Had to order Walmart parts for this actually, and replace a couple months back because trying to keep this thing running.
What's the? Is that completed?
Yep, completed. You can also add released and other functionality to this in the input action and the input context so that it has like an actual full released state and other formal things, but for our immediate purposes, we shouldn't need that. Okay, go ahead and hit compile and save. Go ahead and launch this sucker up.
Okay.
And again, we want to see if that hello is printing continuously.
Go. No.
No? Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so it's printing continuously and release, and it should all go away.
Okay.
Great. Okay, so what I want to home in on this here because this is more than just shifting your input handling. What you have done is you have taken your entire management for how this is firing and how this is spawning and moving, okay? And you've shifted it out of a system where you have to control and account for that in the blueprint and
Okay.
instead put it entirely
We got where-
on your
right before the
management.
repos,
Right.
Okay. So very critical operation there because that's simplifying it and leveraging a system Epic's
Okay.
giving you to do it better than you were doing.
let's
before.
check the
Make sense?
60 frame.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
I'm not sure
that
when
way,
this
instead of having to track
was
your handles
changed.
and all that other stuff like that, you can instead just run it entirely off of this.
Some automated
And then there's also minimal
setting
risk of
did this
losing the
flow.
timer or if the timer being
But
out of
it's okay.
sync or any other kind of things. Not that the timers itself fail that way, just if you have to manage making code, there's easy ways to screw stuff up. Okay, now scoot right. Okay, so here's the thing. You're continually spawning that actor every time this is held down. So the thing is, what I would actually recommend you do, and this is going to be left an exercise for you to check into. I would recommend instead of spawning a new actor, you actually just look at attaching a Niagara system to the character, and then moving that Niagara system to that location and executing it from there. Make sense?
Okay.
This is gonna take the FKs and the IKs. So
And I'm gonna tell it. To go, I'm gonna tell it to spawn.
Yes, you're going to tell it to go there instead of spawning a new one every instance essentially, and that's going to give you a lot more control over this. Make sense?
Okay. But how am I gonna put it? How am I gonna put it at the Because what I'm doing is I'm firing the line trace, and it's spawning at the hit.
Yes.
Okay.
okay, so in order
That's
for you
just
to see
constantly
this,
doing this
you
on
would
every
have
run.
to.
Okay. Before it wasn't doing this constantly.
Okay.
Correct.
So I don't understand how this is better. I'm confused.
Okay.
And this
confused
is
about the
would work
spawning, or are you confused about what we
once
just
you
did?
go to bind
No,
code. I
it's-
don't know
it's
why
like- 'cause you can
it
see,
freezes
I mean,
sometimes.
it's
Confused
Not
about
sure.
the spawning or about what we just did?
well, the input itself.
Okay,
'Cause-
then you're confused about what we just did. Okay, so just
Yeah, so-
that clarifies.
Anyways,
Yeah, so if I'm holding R, like you say, it's constantly making this
Then
particle
uncheck it.
system on the ground.
Correct.
and it works.
Every 5.5 seconds, it's making a new one.
Faster than that even because it's on input, which is tick.
Okay, so every frame, it's.
You
doing
see
it.
how
That's-
wonderful that is?
Correct.
We're gonna add another
so
layer.
it wasn't doing
We're
that
gonna
before.
ignore this one now.
So
We're gonna add
Correct.
another
I don't-
layer.
I don't wanna spawn it. I don't wanna
Okay.
spawn a new
And this would give us an
and
empty
add
layer.
every time.
Has
What
nothing
I
to do
Did you
with
hear
this
what I
one.
said about that's why you want to build this as a Niagara system component and move the Niagara system component to that location?
And let's select some fingers.
Because instead of spawning anything,
So
you will instead simply relocate the Niagara system component to that, which
And
will
we're
be even
gonna
more efficient than what you
go
were
all the
kind
way
of trying
to
to do
the
and weren't able to
first
do that before.
key it.
Okay, so you're you're saying
Copy
that
the key.
if I have it,
Before we copy the
if
key.
I have the Niagara system in the character as a component in my character blueprint, then I can tell it to go wherever.
Indeed.
Okay, and then so
Let's just do some fixing.
Scoot right. Okay, so zoom in there on that spawn actor thief rush marker.
okay.
Let's go to that blueprint thief rush marker. Here, let me turn this light off and I'll talk you through it. I'll hold your hand and walk you through the forest. I understand these things are scary. I don't need to sleep.
Well, okay, I'm spawning this actor.
Yep.
You know, and
We're not
all
going
I
to spawn
want-
that actor. We're going to gut that actor like a fish.
Okay. All right.
So click the little magnifying glass there on class. That takes you into thief rush marker.
Just
And then pop open your
Slight
yep, there you go.
changes.
Your content browser. Open this up. All right, so you see you have
to
the
make it
Niagara
look
system
like
right in
it's normal
Yeah.
and it's not like
there. That's what
overlapping
we're
with
gonna
each
gut
other.
like a fish, and we're going to turn this into delicious smoked salmon. Okay, so click on that Niagara system. Control C, or just right click and copy, whichever one you prefer.
Okay.
And go back to your little thief BP. Now click on your capsule component. Right click and paste. Ka-ching. Now if you go look at your viewport, you will see there is a Niagara system.
Yeah, he'll be right in the
Yeah.
center of it.
It'll be
I've
right in the
already-
center.
I've already got one on him.
Okay, and this is the same exact Niagara system?
No, it's a different one.
Okay, that's fine. So go ahead and rename this one to Rush Marker Niagara. So you can click on that and hit F2 and rename it to Rush Marker Niagara. All right, so compile and save. Now go to your event graph.
We will fix this later.
Drag that Rush Marker Niagara in. There you go. Now drag off that and type set location.
Unbelievable.
Okay.
The amount of issues that this skin reading.
Okay, so you have set relative location and set world location.
Yeah.
Let's go with set world location. Okay.
Okay.
Now we're going to worry about visibility and all that other jazz later. So for now, we're just going to set our world location for this. So now the rush location there, go ahead and take that, and from the set node, go yellow pin to yellow pin. And then execution pin to execution pin for your set world location.
Okay. So that's good.
And now scoot to the right. What is that rush marker connected to?
This.
Yes.
This is the destroy.
Yeah. Okay,
Because
so
it was an actor, so we don't need to do that anymore.
go ahead and remove that destroy actor pin so we don't have a dangling reference there. And so I don't have the delay either. Okay. And get rid of that spawn actor. Compile, save, make sure that everything comes up clean here. The reason I keep saying to compile everything is because whenever you're moving references or things like that around, you want to make sure it doesn't.
Crazy.
Or-
I don't think I need sweet.
No, you don't want.
Can
You don't want
always
to
check the other hand and do the same thing here.
But this is a Niagara system, so it's
It will
not going to
definitely
care.
improve. I love that
Okay.
tool.
Because you're just
That
positioning
hammer,
this
it's
component.
actually really
okay.
it's
So
Thor's
with that
hammer.
said, you've got okay,
You don't know. For a
Great.
rigger,
Okay, so
this is
now,
Thor's hammer.
when you play this, you're going to see the Niagara system's going to spawn around your character, and it's going to also go to where you say. It's going to be only a
I
single
don't know
system.
how
It's
they
gonna
made
stack
it, but
up like
Blender
a system.
until this day doesn't
That's
have it.
exactly what I wanted to do right there.
That's
You guys
exactly
don't
what I
have the
wanted to do.
hammer.
Awesome.
Yes, it is.
Now I just got to turn it off.
Yes, now you just got to turn it off, which memory serving, if you just drag off the Niagara component, there's a way to turn the component off or on. If not, then you're going to need to do that with Niagara parameters.
Well, I can do.
It's been a minute since I tinkered with that particular part of Niagara. Look, I was supposed to do a
Okay.
work on a
So,
marching ants thing.
the fingers
Niagara
is
system, but I'm
done.
not gonna have time for that. I'm just gonna pass out again.
I'm just gonna say. Where is the?
Let's also do the same thing. Key it just to make sure. Copy
Where is it?
and paste.
Type this in. There
Um,
it is.
yeah,
think there's a visibility toggle, or you might be able to just do an invisible in-game thing.
Well, I usually do
Let's
this.
make some changes
This is what
because
I
we don't want it to
usually
be like flat.
Yes.
So
Okay.
if
Activate,
we could
deactivate.
like
Yeah, I activate, deactivate. I find that it works better than
like move
visibility
at least the hand a
or,
bit,
you know, all that.
like
That's like,
Well, that's the proper way to do it.
yeah, activate.
Oh, okay.
like
Thank
at
you,
least
Anybody
like
knows you're going to.
like few.
So he's gonna activate and move around.
Yes. And there's probably a way you could tidy some of this stuff up so it's not running activate
Okay.
when it doesn't need to and all. But
And
performance overhead wise, that's not gonna be any kind of major issue.
Here.
Certainly nothing compared to what you have where you're spawning it 50 billion times.
You can plug that same one into the same node.
Here?
Yeah, you can plug it. You can plug multiple things into that. Yeah,
Oh,
there you go.
nice. I didn't even know I could do that. Thanks. So that should work now. So now I can put him wherever I want him. Like if I say, I want to go here. No, I don't want to go there. There's a bad guy there.
yeah, so
Bingo.
let's copy this.
Thanks, man. That's totally what I needed.
Yep, simple as.
That timer thing, I was like, oh no, that's not gonna work. Because I was like, because even when I was like talking to you and you're like, what do you got going
Okay.
on? And I'm like, yeah, this timer is like
Yeah, this is basically like recreating the animation,
Well,
but
here's the thing.
it's
you
because
could have
every
done that with
character
timer, and
should
in
be
the old days,
styled
we would have to do that with
this way.
timers.
It's
Yeah.
definitely going to
And build
improve
out
your
this whole thing and juggle and operate, but now we have enhanced input. It's
this
like it's
muscle
so
looks
much quicker
weird,
than
so
something
we're
and
gonna
that's what I didn't realize
do some
about enhanced input. That's the one thing that I'm like really taking
use the
from
hammer
this.
just a bit,
Is that
like around this
this
corner maybe.
It's like event tick, basically. You know, like especially when you're holding that key down,
Right.
it's acting like a tick.
Yes,
this
and that's
case-
incredibly bad.
Which in this case,
Yeah.
it isn't as bad as like an old tick, but you know, yeah, it works like that, and I didn't know that because press doesn't. The
Okay.
old press.
We can also
doesn't
do
work like
something
that. It's
pretty
just
cool. We
buttons.
can go to bind
It's like
pose.
One, it fires once as you hold
Okay.
it, and you're not gonna.
And check
get
this
that
out. This is
smooth
crazy.
action
We're
like
just
that
gonna
from that.
go to
It's never gonna
skinning
fire again.
and then mirror the skin.
Cool. Now I can sleep.
Just
Yeah.
that's some
And
bullshit.
here, by the way, let me get you a
And then
link to
come
some
back to the
information
animation.
on enhanced input
So we're just
5, because
doing like two
this will-
jobs at
this will
this
help you
point.
understand a lot more about.
Break myself.
Here we go. This will help you understand a lot more of those cool tricks. The
Not
trainer
sure what
did.
happened there, but
Where's the link? Or
I
did
don't
you put it
care.
in the-
I'm still
Yep,
gonna
I'll put it
merge.
right- oh, hang on. Almost pinged MK with it the chat here because he was the guy who was streaming, and I'm not fully conscious right now.
I got my flashlight glass material in now.
Yeah, bro.
Okay.
Make sure you hook up
Let's
that
merge
other
all
system.
layers.
Yep, I already did.
Did you?
You
get
could
an
probably do
edit?
additive with the flashlight, to be honest, instead of running it as transparent.
Not sure what's going on here.
Okay, there you go, horizontal.
So I'm gonna
Link to it in
control
the
Z a
lounge
few
chat
times.
If anybody else wants to see it's there.
Yeah, I need to read about this. Good old-
Oh yeah, it's because the auto
What
keys.
makes enhanced input enhanced?
Yes.
The amount of assets you have to create to use it.
Yeah. Boy,
Yeah.
howdy, are you gonna
Be
populate
careful
your
with the auto
content
keys.
browser with this?
Yeah, I was gonna say, did I detect it?
Go to
with
bind
sarcasm
pose,
there, Mike?
skin, mirror skin, but
It
don't do
doesn't
it
have
in
assets
the
for you to do in a
with the
single
auto
text
key turned
file,
on.
like config file
It will
or
mess
JSON or
everything up.
or a data table or
Okay. And this is it. So we're gonna select
This project is
all of
actually
them
still in
and
5.1.
merge. Just to be
Oh,
safe,
that's fine. They enhance
even though we
input
don't
for
need the
5.0.
base.
Yeah.
Okay.
They made any radical
And then we're gonna go
shifts
to
to it.
They
animation.
didn't make it crazy
Key,
different than the
big.
old, but they did change a lot.
Oh, you have to select
especially
everything.
with this,
Big.
this mapping thing.
I can now
Cool.
it's definitely an improvement. I just
select everything,
yeah.
I know how you feel, man, because you're like a real programmer, you know.
and we can work on the base animation and then bake it. Work on the base animation and then bake it.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna call
What
this,
do you primarily do for work at on
I'm a senior technical artist.
Okay. So are you doing a lot of like rigs and stuff?
A lot of materials, but I also like I just wrapped up a project, so I'm moving to a new project. On the project I just wrapped up, I did a lot of. I'm kind of an expert on. I don't know. Do you want like that in-depth answer, or just want to know
Well, I mean,
He does magic and makes things look good with shaders.
I mean, I understand like pretty much what a technical artist does. I mean, you don't have to go into like every freaking role. I'm just saying.
You do?
Like, when you like technically, do you like write a lot of tools, or are you just making everybody's life easier?
On the last project, I spent like 70% of my time doing support to other teams. Like acting as a subject matter expert on Unreal Engine and game development in general.
Yeah.
So probably only about 30% of my time was spent in traditional tech artist roles.
You're a SME. A SME. That's what the Army calls them, subject matter expert.
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking Peter Pan and Captain Hook.
No, the lady that's the project manager for because we're doing that Army contract and it's all 68 whiskey, and she's always like, well, I'm sending the email to the SME and gotta talk to the SME, and so yeah.
Yo, are you Vexar? Like, you sound like Vexar.
No,
Excuse me?
Yeah, he's Vexar.
No, he's not.
No?
Vexar was just clear.
I'm not him, but you're the second person that said that I sound.
Even
like
Mippy said it.
I've known Vexar for years. You guys don't sound alike. You're just both gruff in sounding.
We're rough.
You got like a gruff voice, but you don't sound tonally anywhere familiar.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to sound gruff.
No, it's not like
I can't help it. I'm like old and
no, it's Victor Mencino.
Vector? Yeah, Victor Mencino. That's his name, right?
No, I'm butchering his last name on purpose.
Yeah, Mippy said that I sound like that guy. Or no,
I don't think so.
He said no, he didn't say that. I correct myself. He said I reminded him of that guy.
I don't see it.
But I don't know him, so I don't know. I'm just, or maybe he was talking about somebody. He was saying, but you do remind me of that guy. And I was like, well, I hope that's a good thing. But so you said you guys are starting a new project Monday?
Yeah, and that one, I don't know how much I can say. I don't know what the ground rules are yet.
Yeah, well, it's cool, man. I mean, I understand.
But on that one, I will likely fulfill a somewhat similar role, but also substantially different. There's more leeway with that project, and it seems to be very well managed and run, and it's also a pet project of the CEOs. Like when we did the wrap-up meeting for this previous project, they scheduled meetings for us all to like split off into groups based on what project we were being sent to, and 40 people from the team got shipped to this project with me, and they were all the people I consider the like badasses.
Okay, so all the elite are on the project.
You got the Manhattan project going on over there.
Yeah, I'm very thrilled. They gave us the week off, and then Monday I'll find out.
Yeah,
we'll go in and like get the lay of the land.
That sounds promising.
You're working on the new Barbie game.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, only if yeah, but that does sound promising if all the elite people are on it. It's like it matters to somebody, like big time.
Yeah, oh yeah, this is a pet project of the CEO.
Well, that's cool because it'll be like they'll everything they can do to make it work and to make it badass. But I don't know. I'm of the opinion that's how it should be. But I know it's hard to get people to see your vision or get on board with your vision.
I'm very I used to be a writer for a long time, and Stephen King wrote this book on writing,
Yeah.
where he talks about on writing, or basically writing. And the mentor, the guy I studied with for writing, he always described it as a very blue collar approach to writing.
Mm-hmm.
And like he basically, he just gets up every morning and he puts words to paper no matter what, right? Like chop wood, carry water, and that's kind of how I look at like game dev. Like I'm very practical about it. Like I want to put out product.
Yeah, and you build those skills. It's a habit. It's a mental muscle you build just getting in the habit of doing it. And that allows when inspiration does come along, you already have the muscle for it.
Yeah, I've never done anything like huge in my career. I've worked a lot of simulation and I've worked games too. And, there's some stuff that I've done that's on Steam. And
Corazon, to clarify here, are you running around with Ali and Greenfire and those other guys who are working on that government contract thing? Or are you separate from all that?
I don't even know who you're talking about, so I guess not.
Okay, so you guys are but you guys like had to set up cage codes and everything like that. That's the level of contract you're doing.
I'm actually I am working for a company that has a sister company. Okay. And I have two separate contracts. One is a regular, just metaverse thing. The other one is 68 whiskey, and that's their sister.
Okay,
company.
now 68 whiskey sounds like an MOS identifier, not a contract.
No, 68. That's medevacs. It's all Army medics. That's what they call them.
Right.
So,
yes.
So we are doing training simulation stuff for the Army.
So that makes sense. Yes. Okay, that's why I was wondering, because we had a guy in here earlier this year, and he was actually himself one of those 68 whiskeys you mentioned, which is why it sounded like that identifier to me. He had actually used Unreal Engine to build out demonstrations of medical procedures and visualize them in 3D for his people as part of training, because he was in charge of training these groups, and it was incredibly well received. It helped them all get significantly better scores in all their training, and they were just doing a lot better because they were able to visually take the thing apart and move around it and look at it in Unreal. And this was without really any gameplay interaction. This was really just a visual simulation he was able to throw together and do not only a quick non-rendered video, because he's able to move it around and not have to render it like you would with a Maya or a CG program like that. He was able to just put all this stuff together. And so he was looking into how he could build a game out from that to help with the training there. So that's why I was trying to connect that in my brain.
Yeah, everything that they're doing, and I was brought in to work on the other project mainly, but then they as we continued in our talks. Before I was actually started the job, they were like, "Oh, we have this other thing, and we really want to get you in on that too, because we need help. And if you're able to contribute, then that's great." And it's ended up being more so on that than the other one, because the other one has all kind of issues, and it's a huge clusterfuck, and we just won't even get into that. It's horrible. Yeah, there's other contractors involved, and
on top of that, it's DoD, so it's a mess and a half by default.
Yeah, well, this one doesn't have anything to do with DoD or the military at all. It's
okay.
There are multiple contracts or contractors. So the company I'm working for is a contractor,
right?
And then you have a contractor that has a subcontractor, and the subcontractor is in Colombia, and
As in Cocaine Land, Colombia?
as in Cocaine Land, Colombia,
Oh, okay.
and they do not, and like, okay, I think there's 5 or 6 of them, and they're a tech company that doesn't know tech, and only one or two of them even speak any English at all. We have to have a translator at meetings. It's just super discombobulated.
That is
But
really
anyway,
sad. I've worked with some people from South America, and they didn't speak good English, but good hunk could they do code and music well.
Yeah, and these
It really does
guys,
come down to picking the right guys.
yeah, these guys are just super clueless about. I mean, they couldn't even get Perforce set up.
Really? Okay.
And I mean, I'm not. When I say this, I'm not trying to make fun of anybody.
Oh,
And
heavens no. I got
and
some
I'm-
horror stories just like
Yeah,
that. I can
I'm-
100% believe you're dealing with that. So you're having to clean up the mess they made, basically?
No, I don't have anything to do with that. I'm strictly an artist on this. You know, I do what I've been doing is a lot of, well, actually on both projects, but it's we're using metahumans, and my job was to, you know, make some playable metahuman characters, and then I came across with I ended up doing a real-time customizer for metahumans, and you know, I was just showing what was possible,
With Unreal, right? Because it's
Yeah,
incredible.
what could be done, and it kind of blew him away. The actual CEO of the company, the client, he was thoroughly impressed with it, because I actually did, like, you know, I created my own heads and my own outfits, and I made it to where the only thing I'm really using for metahumans is the skin and the hair. That's it. you
Yeah.
know? And then I actually did my own custom blend shapes, and they're ridiculous, but it was just to show that it is possible.
Yeah,
I
and on
wanted
top
to
of that,
show
once you're
it.
doing that, have you played around with Mass?
What's
The Mass
that?
Entity System?
No.
Oh man, because once the Matrix City project that Epic put out with the Mass Entity System demos, once you have your metahumans ready to rock and roll, take a look at that, because you can have those people walking around and simulating walking through a city where they'll stop at stop signs and traffic lights. And one of the prototypes I actually built out for a demo on a client was I built a heat mapping system where you would simulate people meandering through this area, and we did all that with Mass, and it would generate a heat map underneath their feet based on a render target of that would increase in intensity based on how many people were on top of it, how long they were idling. So we could actually show them, hey, here's a city with people wandering around it, like a street corner, and here's how it actually gets more intense. The heat map does when they stop under these lights, so you can see where these hiccup points essentially are. And it was really cool for ArcViz, because that's the main thing the team does. Is we do, at least right now, we're doing ArcViz. We have a lot of background in game dev. We have a lot of background in all kind of other stuff. One of my guys is like a chemical scientist who also does server admin stuff. So we're a very weird bunch of crazies, but
I'm super weird, so, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. But so, and then on the other project, like on the military side, I will create. I've done some X-Gen hair for the metahumans. I don't make the metahumans because they already had them all made.
right.
But I'm creating, like, sculpting and texturing like injuries and bandages, and I did some like packaged sterile gloves, and you know, it's just all these
The art assets they need to put it all together.
I do a ton of props for these people, and then of course like they needed hospital gowns, so I sculpted and textured hospital gowns for male and female metahumans. And then I have a version that's closed and a version that's open, and then I have long socks and short socks, and it's all rigged to the you know, to that skeleton.
Yeah, to the bodies.
Yeah. So it's to me that, I mean, I make better working on the military side than I do the other one, and I'm, as far as I'm concerned, they can just keep me over there and just, you know, let that other thing just when they need me again, I guess I'll help out, but whatever.
Right.
It's kind of ridiculous, but
And it's good that you're learning code too, because that's going to make you a heck of a lot more valuable in terms of scripting operations. Because as you can see, it's very easy to kick the wall out with a blueprint and just add what you need to in the scripting functionality.
Yeah. Well, that's
And if you
what
played around with Sequencer,
Yeah, I use it and see all of that stuff on the military side when they kick that out as the final product.
right? Yeah,
It's all in Sequencer.
yeah, and you can script events in Sequencer too, and use the blueprint logic and build all this stuff out and really deliver the concepts.
That's the people that work, because the company I work for is based in Colorado. I'm in Alabama. There's a couple of people, 2 or 3 of them there, I think, and they are the ones that do all the sequencer shots. Because you know how that works. And you can't have 6 people working all on the no.
No, you gotta have somebody assembling all that, and it's not even a matter of, because Unreal will do that. If you perforce split that out, yeah, you can even have 1 file per actor split all that out, but you gotta have a guy with a single editorial vision putting all the shots together. Otherwise, it's gonna look like stone soup.
So there's different modules. There's 5. So you have one person, like you're saying. There's one person who's the director or the lead, and then the lady that I communicate with every Monday through Friday, she's over all 5. So you got a like an in-team lead for those 5 modules, and then she's the boss lady over all 5 of those teams.
Yeah, she's big boss of the WOG.
Yeah, and then the only person above her is the freaking CEO of the company. She's like, she's basically, I don't know. Well, actually, no. There's one lady above her, but she's like incognito. She ain't never around.
Yeah.
So I don't even worry about her. I talked to her one time, and then it was like, I typed something, and then it was like, I got a weird reply back. And then I just kind of went to my corner. I was like, okay, I won't be talking to you again. It was like, basically, I got the vibe of like, why are you bothering me?
Who are you again?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's exactly what I got. And I was like, okay, I'm done with you. Thank you. Have a nice day.
That's all I need to know. You don't want to hear anything from me. That's fine, as long as the check clears.
Yep. And, speaking of that, no, it's good money, man, and I'm enjoying it, and it's always good to be working. So,
especially these days, man.
Oh yeah, I mean, but I started learning blueprints. I started teaching myself and reading docs and doing that about 3.5 years ago.
Got it.
And I've come pretty good way, man. I mean, I don't know 1/4 of what I should know probably, but primarily in my career, I haven't, I was never a programmer.
You were never formally instructed, and this is also not your specific area of expertise, so you're trying to make the most of it and learn. Absolutely, man. I mean, now personally, I have a comp sci degree. And I have a bunch of other strong background in coding and development and all that other kind of stuff like that. So that gave me some edges up when I got into Unreal, 6-7 years ago, I want to say. And that was back before it really was big in terms of the indie community stuff, because they were just putting it out there for accessibility and for everybody to be able to get into and grab it for free and do all that. I think the timeline might be a little weird, but I know it was right. I was twigged to it by a very, very good mentor who essentially told us, hey, listen, this is where we want to be. Because at the time, everybody was like, no, CryEngine is really amazing, and there's this Unity thing. He said, no, you want to learn Unreal. Unreal has been around. Unreal is continuing to be around, and they're making some serious moves. Yeah. And sure enough, he was right.
I remember working in version 2.
Oh, you remember the old days of Unreal.
Yeah, like Kismet and working in Hammer and Radiant. So I've been around, a long time, and I've learned and I've seen and I've watched it. And same thing with Unity, and it's like a lot of these younger guys, they don't even realize that Unity was originally all on Mac, that it wasn't
Yeah.
even for Windows. They're like, wait,
And now
what?
it's backed directly by Microsoft, running on C#, running on all this other
Yep.
weirdo stuff. No, the hilarious thing with Unity is that, like, I see Unity is going the way of a lot of these franchise businesses, or like a Walmart or something, where the company gets really big and really doesn't know what to do with it. And to be honest, I see Epic a lot more like Raising Cane's, or one of those other like Chick-fil-A or something like that. It's a company that is still owned by the people who founded it, still directed by that same vision, and keeps sort of like a Menards or one of those other not small, but like a private company that is very careful with its workers. Because the stories I hear from inside of Epic, from folks who are working there, and the environment and everything, it's like they will absolutely murder you. Okay, especially if you're on the Fortnite and everything. But, and here's the big thing. You are 100% sharing in the profits. You are 100% getting everything they can give you. They are trying their very best to take care of you so that they can kill you. You know, they 100% care about you. And you are a lot more than just a number, especially if you're somebody who's been there for a while and it's really put in good work, because you have a heck of a lot of leeway and ability, but they will drain everything they can out of you, and then staple you back up as best they can so they can get some more out. But at the same time, that is the big leagues. You know, if you want to be there at the big leagues, that's what you got to do. So it's hard to find fault.
I mean, it's like a lot of those companies now. You know, I've heard horror stories about EA and some other places. You know.
Oh no, EA is totally different. EA is an animal.
Yeah, they work you to death, and then they'll just be like, "Hey, thanks, see you next time," or whatever. You know.
Yeah.
Your last paycheck's in the mail. Bye.
Your last paycheck is going to bounce, by the way.
Yeah, or something like. Well, now I had a friend of mine. He worked at because when my first studio was in Louisiana back in 2005. And then he went to work for another one that was in Baton Rouge, and he said they would get their checks, like they would get paper checks, and he said it was like a race at lunchtime to hurry up and get to the bank to get yours in first before they started bouncing.
Oh dear.
Yeah, he said seriously, and he said they had a female was like the CEO or whatever. I mean, she was the I don't know if she was the owner or the manager or whatever she was, but it was.
He was supposed to make sure that didn't happen.
Well, here's the thing, and I don't care anything about skin color, but it was it was a black-owned business. Okay, in other words, it was two men and a woman. I think the female was in charge, from what I remember, and. He said they had a meeting one day, and she was like tripping about development and why things weren't getting done. You know, and he said before she had been quiet, and she came in there, she kind of was. You could tell she was real agitated, and she was telling him, she was like, "Looks like it's time for me to show y'all how a black woman's gonna run this business." And I was thinking, oh, you need to run, dude. Like,
yeah,
you need to run as far away from that as you possibly can.
So how many lines of code do you write, lady? That's what I.
Yeah, I was like, nah. I was like, and the thing is, I'm ex-military, and I'm real simple, man. I don't care anything about that. I don't care what religion you are, what sex you are.
Just because everyone's green.
I just don't care.
You are light green or you are dark green. That's That's all it is.
I don't care. I don't care anything about that, and and I worked with all branches of the military except, well, I guess the Coast Guard. Whatever. But yeah, I was a air combat controller in the Air Force for like 6 years. So.
So you.
What's that?
You're up in the air on an AWACS?
Oh, hell no, dude.
Oh, okay.
No, as a combat controller, we're like a full combat unit. And we do air traffic control for, we clear the ground. We're like first on the ground.
Oh,
You
you're
know?
a JTAC then.
No. Well, JTAC is not JTAC is like a certification. It's
Okay.
it's a little bit different than that, but my if you break it down into like the different ones, like you got PJs, and then you got CCT, which is like me. You got a combat controller, and then you have.
So you're the guys they attach to military squads so they can more effectively call an air support, like
Yeah,
Army
like-
and Marine stuff like that.
So our teams would be 8 men, and then they would like when we got to Saudi, for or not so much because I was part of invasion of Panama too. So we did that, yeah. And then when we went to got over there, we were in Daharan, and then so half of my unit went with a Ranger Chalk, half of my unit, me and a couple other guys went with Force Recon.
Right.
And then we did our thing, and but like when we first got in, like when we were getting ready to do the whole, okay, now here we're at war. We were Shield, now we're Storm. That was jumping out of a perfectly good airplane, touching down on the ground in the middle of freaking nowhere, and everybody's rocking and rolling. We're on the
He
radio.
sells, but Saddam ain't buying.
We're getting things. We're getting bombers and fighters coming in and taking over the airport, so on and so forth. I mean, it's basically as simple as you can put it. It's get on the ground and set up a landing zone, start coordinating air traffic, and if anything gets in your way, just shoot it in the face. That's basically what you do.
Simple instructions.
Because we're a full combat unit with brains. That's as simple as I can put it to anybody who isn't familiar with the air traffic control or combat controllers. And I had to do jump school and SEER training and 2 basic trainings and weapons training.
Right.
So yeah, so it's something, and I'm too old and fat, slow to do it now, but it was something that I don't regret it, but I'd have been.
Well, the
better
whole
off.
world was a different place then too.
Yeah. So I would have loved it if I could have gone to school for art and just been I could have been a better artist. And, I would have been probably less. But, whatever. You can't go back. So.
Yeah, you can only go forward. And that's one thing too is online. There's so many resources now and so much training material.
Yeah, and it was funny. I used to, because the jarheads would always want me to go with them.
I imagine they want somebody with a big radio.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They would be like, yo, man. They'd start waving me over. I went to my CEO and I was like, why do those jarheads always want me to go with him? He's like, well, it's not because you look good, dumbass. It's because you got the long rifle and a radio. Because I was a DM, designated marksman, quote unquote.
Oh, okay.
And I say sniper, but I use that term very loosely because...
Yeah, no, snipers are a different kind of animal.
Well, basically it's like this. I had a crash course. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm from Texas. My dad taught me 2 things, how to shoot and how to make brisket. So I was already deadly. I was deadly with a rifle at 12 years old, but it's still a little different when you're shooting when you're shooting greater distances. So basically, I went to Bragg and they taught me, they taught me windage and mil dot and all that. You get a little crash course and you learn how to break your weapon down and put it back together blindfolded and stupid stuff like that. But I'm not even close to like a real sniper. But standard SOP for combat controllers is to, at times, do counter sniper missions. And probably did that 10 times in my whole military career. And I think we shot somebody 9 out of 10 times. Because in Iraq, them silly son of a bitches would always be trying to set an IED.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it was just like, okay, here we go again, you know, and it sucks because you got to go out and set up your blind, and they would send us out and they would drop us off from the helo, and we'd get on the ground, and we had 2 different teams. Usually it would be, you know, me and a Marine sniper or spotter, and then it would be another guy from my unit and another Marine. And we're all shooters, but we're all spotters too.
Right.
So we set up in 2 different locations, and it's probably 2 to 3 days before the convoy ever comes through. So you're out there in the 120, 130 degree heat waiting. And I'd be so glad if somebody will come around that corner so we can just be done. You know, it sucks. It was the worst. So, yeah, all the, you know, you see the games and everybody, you know, ooh, that's so cool, you know.
Yeah, they don't have to sweat it out. Oh, yeah.
In the real world, that's like the job you never want.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's like all the kids run around and play airsoft and everything because paintball hurts.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, paintball does hurt. You're exactly right.
Just wait
That's how
until
you know I shot you.
Yeah, just wait until you have to go out in the sun when it's that hot. It physically hurts to go outside.
Yeah, the sun will beat you down.
And man, I mean, and then, you know, so when my career was over, it wasn't even that long. I don't know what, 7 years later, I got a job working for KBR in Iraq. And I figured, you know, I can go over here and make a bunch of money and pay off my house and bills and whatnot, you know.
Right.
And I got over there, and I was probably there like 4 months. And I got recruited by Blackwater. So,
back when they before they started doing all the name shuffling.
Well, yeah, that was right before too, you know. But I couldn't pass that money up, man. That was just that was like super life-changing money. Mm-hmm. Of course, it destroyed my marriage, but that's beside the point. So, you know, you live and learn. But my marriage was so bad anyway before I got over there. That's why I even went, because I just wanted to get away from her.
Right.
Yeah, that's sad, though, when you would rather get shot at and people try to blow you up than be at home.
Well, it's something you understood, at least.
Yeah.
I got a lot of family who've been in the service. My grandpa was 20-something years in the Navy, retired out and everything, so I'm very familiar with all that kind of stuff, even though I've never been in myself. Heck, I got a cousin in the Coast Guard right now, and the thing is, the Coast Guard is actually frontlining a lot of the stuff we're dealing with these drug smugglers and other problems we're having, because he'll send photos, or rather, he'll point me to their public Facebook photos about here's another ton or so worth of cocaine that we've confiscated and are burning from submarines and these other little skimmer craft and stuff like that they're just smuggling it up that way now.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we're catching this, but this is a fraction of what actually ends up getting through, just because there's only so many boats and so much in the way of resources we can divert to it.
That's crazy, man. Speaking of submarines, that's another thing that, like, I was reading up on them, you know, just trying to get like a updated sense of combat controllers today.
Yeah, there's a heck of a lot that's changed underwater too.
Yeah, they're basically like SEALs now. Combat controllers.
Sea, air, land, right?
Yeah, well, they're just no joke, man. I mean, they could be on the ground doing whatever today. They could be in the mountains the next day, or they could be swimming out of a freaking submarine after that. I mean,
Right.
they do it all. We had to do like a water training, you know, and you know you had to be able to hold your breath for a little while, and you have to be able to swim and float and do all that crap. But I mean, not like they do
It's
now,
not the same
man.
as buds.
Yeah, they they're just like seals. I'm telling you, it's damn. I mean, I don't know the exact training in all the schools that they go to, but
But they're
it's
being called on to perform similar amphibious missions.
yeah,
Just
seriously.
they're not having to pack C4 with them.
Well, who knows what they do?
Oh.
To be honest, I mean, they very well may, but I mean, it's full blown. I actually not too long after I got out, I actually went back to Washington and I talked to. I had a buddy of mine that was still in, and he
Right.
wasn't a combat controller, but he knew a couple of guys that were in there, and because that's where we pretty much were. Like a lot of us from that squadron or that wing were based, which was 824th Squadron, and that's in McCord,
Okay.
McCord Air Force Base in Washington. So yeah, and I talked to him, and even the pipeline was changing even then, man. I mean, they were doing all kind of stuff differently than even I had been exposed to. And now, see, I went to schools for, well, it was 2.5 years, and now they do like a whole enlistment, or almost a whole enlistment is just school before you
Really?
ever. Yeah, but you go through all your training first. So you do like 3 or 3.5 years of schools and training, and having to qualify for all this stuff before you ever set foot in a combat zone or a mission. Because you got to do regular, and then you got to do the more like the Army or Marine style basic training.
Right.
Then you have to do jump school, and you have to do SEER training, and then the whatever the water training that they do now, and then you have combat and tactics training.
Right.
So that's 5 different schools, and and you can't not pass all of them. if you can't do one, you can't do any of them. So they have a pipeline, and if you stop, then you just go back and do whatever, or you get discharged or whatever. You can't continue on and then go back. It doesn't work like that. Yeah, they'll try to kill you, but that's
Yeah.
the whole point. That's the whole point, because people would always be like, well, dang, why aren't And I'm like, yeah, but if they, and they told me, yeah, you're so much different, man. When you were young, you were just so happy-go-lucky, and you had such a good attitude, and I'm like, I'm still the same guy. And they're like, no, you're different. You're like mean, and I'm like, yeah, but the thing is what you don't understand is that it's an extremely horrible job, and you can't be a wimp to do it, and
It's a ton of stress too, and that has a effect on you.
and you
And in many ways, it also blows out some of your receptors in your brain for handling different types of stresses and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And that's why people, or it's like, oh, well, you don't care anymore. Yes, you've actually lost in some ways the capacity to care about things.
Yeah.
It's like when I did 30 hours straight before a crisis,
Excuse me.
and I had a QA, one of our QA guys with me, and we were just like, we had to get this done.
yeah.
That burns out something in you. And granted, we got it done. Like, we shipped. I handled DevOps on that. I pushed, like, I want to say 14 commits. As in, not just commits, as in like 14 full builds within that time frame that had to go out to QA, and each one of those ended up getting turned down by QA, but with a critical blocking issue. There's things you realize about yourself that you thought you had certain limits and you can go past them.
Yeah.
And you also realize that I never want to be in that situation again. How are we going to build a system to make sure I'm never in that situation again?
I go back in my mind, you know, I'll be 54 in January.
Mm-hmm.
And I go back in my mind, I think about 18-year-old Steven. That's my name. I don't care if anybody knows it, but I think about my 18-year-old self. And I'm like, how did I even do that?
Yeah.
I'm like, I look back and I'm like, you know, I could bench press like 300 pounds, you know, when I was, 19, 20 years old. And I could run for freaking forever. And,
Yeah.
you know, and I mean, you know, I could be out in the heat all damn day and night and day, you know. But I understand it's like, it's a young man's game. It is. And then on top of that, all the training and everything you have to go through and do.
And it takes a toll on you.
Well, but the reason why, it's because if they don't do it to you like that, you won't come home. You know, it's to teach you how to not get dead. That's what it is.
And that's the terrible thing we're seeing, especially overseas right now, where they're doing these crash courses for Ukrainians, and even what Russia's doing with many of their rush mobilizations, and they're just throwing people at each other. And that's the terrible thing, is that's a very European way of fighting wars, and that's very antithetical to how the U.S. would fight it. But it's the world we live in and the choices we have to make, and that's also why Milton Friedman and others were so insistent on a volunteer military.
Yeah. Well, you have to want to do it, because if you don't, you know, if your heart's not in it, you're just going to end up getting somebody killed or yourself.
Bingo.
But you know, I mean, it's tough, and you know, I don't even know. There's been 3 or 4 times in the military. Well, I would say between the military and Blackwater, probably half a dozen times where I was just like, okay, well, this is it. This is where I die. But somehow, some way, I didn't do, you know, that didn't happen. So
praise the Lord and pass the ammunition.
Yeah. Well, you know what happened? We were way out in western Iraq at a place they call Al-Assad. It's about 40 minutes from the Syrian border. And we had to convoy up to a little bitty camp where all they had up there was just like mostly just tent city, and there was a couple hundred Marines up there.
Right.
And they're like 3 clicks from the border. And we were up there. We weren't there 10 minutes, and a bunch of insurgents hit the front gate, killed a few of the Marines, and they got inside the wire, man. There was a bunch of them running around. And, you know, me and another guy that, you know, was in my SUV, we got behind the T-walls and we were ready, and we had to fire some shots. But then somebody had gotten on the radio, you know, and called back to Al-Assad, because just like a couple of months before that, because the army was there and then the Marines came in.
Right.
And they had their squadron of Cobras there.
Oh, okay.
So somebody had gotten on the radio. Well, the Cobras were scrambled up immediately. And, you know, 30 minutes on the ground is like 5 or 10 minutes in the air with a helo.
Right.
Maybe 15 at the most. But I mean, I don't know. I don't remember. It seemed like forever. But next thing I know, there's like gunfire, like, you know, 20
whole bunch of noise from above. Yeah.
Well, hellfires and 20 millimeter cannon fire. And there's like blood and guts everywhere, you know, because they were just ripping these guys apart, man. And we, you know, and the guy that was with me, he was like he was freaking Rambo, you know, like he stood up and he was all like, yeah, and I was like, get your ass down, bro. You're about to get shot again.
Shrapnel does not care about friend or foe.
Yeah, I was like, get your ass on the ground, man, you dumb butt. You about to get killed. This ain't freaking like first blood and shit. Yeah, but you know, it was crazy. But yeah, I hadn't, like, even in the military. Now, don't get me wrong, I called in plenty of A-10s and told them where to go, but I never saw it. You know,
Right.
Not up that close. But this was up close and personal, and it was really
That was
bad.
danger close, yeah.
Yeah, it was like, ugh, because I don't know if you've ever seen somebody that's been hit by 20 millimeter rounds. It's not pretty. It's
Yeah, I
like,
imagine it wouldn't be, no.
it's basically hamburger meat.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
I've seen what 50 caliber does to pumpkins and cinder blocks.
Yeah, and a 20 millimeter round is about 4 or 5 times bigger than a 50 cal projectile round. So you mean just basically think of a banana. The girth of a banana and about 4.5 inches long. That's just the projectile that's coming out of an A10. Let's see, what else had a 20 millimeter cannon on it? Cobras have them, F-15s have them, F-16s have them, and A-10s have them. Actually,
Right.
I think A-10's 30 millimeter, so it's even bigger because they're tank busters. But yeah,
Right.
that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But and did I have PSTD? I don't know, probably, but I worked it all out. Had a long talk. God and I had a long talk about stuff because I was angry for a lot of years and didn't know why. And, and I don't know, I don't even remember exactly all what I verbalized to him, but he fixed it and I worked it out and I became a lot happier person again. Well, actually, yeah, I became happy. I became happy again because I was happy and then I wasn't happy. And now I'm still happy.
Yep, you have the joy of the Lord through Christ Jesus.
I got it. I got it tattooed on my arm too.
That's it. Yeah, man. And that's it's interesting you bring all this up though, and especially with the medical stuff earlier, because there are some other guys in the server, and I had a chance to throw a little bit in on their project this couple months back. I wonder how they're doing. They're actually working on my understanding is this had something to do with DARPA, but it was something they were going to present. It wasn't something they had officially gotten signed off yet. They were working on a simulation that was a real-time game, and they would have both the shooting and the medical aspects in it. So it would have both combat as well as castback operations. And they were actually simulating, in addition to simulating ammo and mags, they were simulating wounds on the body with blood timers and stuff like that. And they actually had their shader set up where you'd see blood on different parts of the body. And it was a bit macabre, but they took one of the test dummies in the game and shot him in the leg, and he falls over and he's holding the leg, and then you see the blood coming out and everything. It's like it's not what I would call realistic because it didn't have all the verisimilitudes that you really need to be what I would call realistic, but it's running in Unreal 5 with metahumans with pretty good lighting. Like, it's pretty dang close, Yeah. It's gonna fool your brain enough. And so the point of that was that it would have the concepts there of how do you now extract this guy and get him immediate care and then get that back up the ladder to where he can be properly addressed and everything, and how does that affect your battle plan and how do you react to that? So a lot more tangible training could be done versus something like Arma or those other simulation things, because Bohemia Interactive is massive in the simulation. Arma is really like an offshoot of the primary simulations they do for the military.
Yeah.
And so these guys were looking at it and saying, hey, if we can do some of that with Unreal and start chiseling into that market, because before too long, they're going to crack under the weight of the engine they've got, especially compared to all the new stuff they've got there. We want to make sure that we're here with a option that's thinking about all the potential improvements that we could do and really deliver with an Unreal solution. And that was really cool because there's always a push for new ways to kill people.
Yeah.
That's the dawn of time. But having something that trains people about how to save lives and make sure your buddies come back, again, never been in the military, but in my personal opinion, as a civilian, I think that is a significantly more valuable thing. Because I've had friends who've gotten pretty messed up over there, when you grow up with somebody and you find out what's happened to them as the course of them serving their country, and you remember how proud they were to go out there and do that, and it's not that they didn't know they were going into combat, it's that they were not treated or trained, or there was not these things that could have, in my opinion, very simply been done to minimize the damage that they would have come back with. And when we can make improvements toward that, prevention is so much better than cures.
Yeah.
And so being able to integrate all that in is going to be really cool, especially if we are looking at any kind of larger conflict in the near or mid future. If we have people who are trained in virtual reality, or at the very least in some digital simulation, where they're thinking about casualty evacuation, they're thinking about medical treatment, they're thinking about planning missions and integrating, and they've done the repetitions. We already know this works. We've already had Unreal Engine-based simulations, and I mean this stuff's public knowledge now because it's not even military. It's consumer and business grade stuff for medical.
Yeah.
Where doctors who are training in virtual reality and doing surgeries in virtual reality, I want to say it was like 40 times less mistakes when they actually got to working on cadavers. It was just an absurd drop in the number of mistakes that they made because, no, it's not a perfect simulation. It's not a one-to-one exactly, but it's very close, and it gets your brain in the right space and it gets your hands in the right space. And just by practicing with stuff that's very close to working on cadavers and being able also to extrude that and see how the bone it fits inside the body and look at that in a way that you couldn't with a cadaver, you're already winning a lot of the training there, and you're massively shortening the amount of time that they have to spend learning, because that's one of the really critical things is when you have visual learning like that, it is in many ways so much faster and more effective for people than text learning and just processing stuff in their brains. Again, there's a case for both, but very often when you have a visual learning system like that, you could shorten that learning curve and ease people into it and build that as a physical, tactile kind of skill in addition to the head knowledge. And that again comes down to the question of, if we are able to produce a higher quality doctor who is making less mistakes because they've simulated this, how can we scale that up? Because we're at the beginning of the technology, it's entirely feasible. We could, because modern MRIs, I've spent way too much time around hospitals and worked in them way too much, but modern MRIs are crazy. They can slice you up and look at all these parts of you, and we can get that into a 3D model. Okay. So we're there. We have all the parts to take you apart, run a digital simulation on putting you back together, allow a doctor to actually simulate an operation before he ever cuts you open, and to minimize risks and things like that. We're very close to that kind of technology being feasible. Now, again, the question is, how applicable is that? How often would a doctor need to simulate or practice something ahead of time? How much value are they going to get out of that? How is that going to affect the cost for the customer? Is that something that is practical? Can we use that to reduce costs for the doctor, which of course ideally would reduce that for the patient as well? And how can we use that as part of the whole incentive structure? Because that's the other question too, is it's not just a matter of does this make people's lives better? You have to get their wallets involved too. But again, if we're knitting these systems together with an information technology solution, these are things that are all successful in different parts. And if they can be put together, there's a heck of a lot of opportunity there.
I totally agree with any kind of training or toys that we can give our guys that give us the advantage, or maybe just a leg up in combat.
Oh yeah.
Because let's face it, it's not like swords and spears or even bows and arrows. It's basically like, the way they're fighting, like they're ground pounding over there in Ukraine. People do fight like that. In the Middle East, there's a whole lot less of that because you're not fighting a trained military.
Right, there's not as much opportunity for trench warfare.
Yeah, so basically it was like, who sees who first? And we've got the technology, we could always see them first. or if we were looking, but we wasn't always looking. That's the problem. And drones are expensive. You can't fly them 24/7. So
Right.
so there's a lot of guys that just, man, they got tore up bad. Man, those IEDs are, that's like that's stupid. I hate those.
The concussion alone can screw you up,
Hey,
especially if you're in a thin armored vehicle.
yeah, I mean, think about a 22 millimeter mortar round laying on, like, barely dug into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
That's, or they stick it in the body of a dog or something, or whatever. Yeah, and they do that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I put it in the chat, man. That customizer thing that I did.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I just set up a really simple map in Unreal, just basically like a slab and a little cylinder. It has like a backstop. Did the 3-point lighting for the metahumans, and I just showed the female in this one. I believe, I can't even remember. I put this up a while back, but this was just kind of showcasing the blend shapes and the different things that I could do,
Right. Oh, very
And,
cool.
but I don't need to, like, the blend. I actually deleted this project. I have 2 copies of the project now, but they didn't need all the crazy blend shapes, and I
They didn't
kind of figured that they wouldn't anyway. But I did
Mhm.
it. I did it as basically like to show. Plus, I wanted to know that I could do it anyway.
Right.
So, now I know how to do it. And so if I ever need to do it again, I know how to do it. Which is really not that big a deal. But I did all the, the UI and the code for the UI. And so, yeah, blueprints are great. I've loved them ever since I freaking saw them, because it was like, ooh, wait, this is like Kismet on steroids. I can actually do something with these.
Yeah, you don't have to get down to the line code us dirty programmers live in.
Yeah, I know, right? But, well, I'm still a dirty bastard, though, so, whatever.
Well, we'll
but,
drag you down to the lightless caves one day.
yeah. Well, maybe I'll write some traditional code one day. Who knows what I'll do. So that's really odd. I just noticed a ghost in the, like when we adjusted the code on my version of Blink, my Thief Rush.
Right.
I'm wondering if I need another node. Probably not. They probably
When you're activating or deactivating it?
When I'm on the deactivate, I actually moved the deactivate back.
It might be the
behind.
system fading out as it's deactivated.
Yeah, like the it deactivates, but because the camera view changes, it throws a ghost up in front of the player. It's just for like barely, and you might not notice it the first time, but you would notice it like as you played the game.
Does it say in the same spot you deactivated it at?
So what I did is I had because I'm changing the capsule half height to give him a little bit more clearance when he's going up, like to buildings. So, right, it was at the end, so I moved the deactivate behind the set capsule half height. But I'm wondering if I need to deactivate it sooner.
Yeah, I would run deactivate as the first thing, and then make sure that it's queried and it's addressing the Niagara system. So
Yeah, I need to. I'm just gonna run a whole different deactivate. It's not gonna hurt anything. I know what I'm gonna do. But I just noticed that was weird. I was like, that's not. You always notice something new.
Oh yeah, you always got to come back and make a tweak.
Fix one problem, create 3 more. That's my blueprint experience. I was like, baby, I fixed it. And I'll be talking to my wife, baby, I fixed it. Oh shit, now this is broke.
Oh my god, too real.
I know. So you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, did you get any further with the teleportation issue?
Yeah, well, did you see all the way through what Mippy was helping me with when it...
I did, and then I started tuning out after a certain point because I was like watching Adventure Brothers stream, so...
Yeah, so I did the first part. I figured out how to, you know, like, put the marker where I wanted it. Like, well, I put the marker, you know, I figured out how to put the marker up. Like, to, like, if I could point the camera, it would go wherever I was looking. But it was still kind of wonky. And Groundhound helped me today earlier. He helped me, well, just a little bit
Allegedly.
ago. Helped me to put a tweak on that. Now, so what I did do, and I was having trouble seeing where I was looking. So now what I've done is, and I'll share my screen because it'll make way more sense. But I've changed it to now where I go in first person mode so I can see where I'm looking. It's a lot better, and you can aim better and all that. Yeah, I mean, before it was too hard to see the marker. So, can you see it?
Give me 1 sec. There we go. Yeah, let me just full screen this.
Let me go up top where I can actually do this. So, I'm getting killed. Stop killing me. Freak. Okay. So, now, instead of just putting the marker on, see, I go into this view. See, now I can move the marker around. And I had this semi working, but I didn't have it working right. And Groundhound helped me like fix it to make it perfect.
So yeah, you could do it in a first-person mode, or something that I implemented in my little template, like kind of recently, was the idea of almost treating it like a projectile trajectory. So you're still in the third person, right? And you're doing the basically exact same thing, except now you got a little marker pointing, hey, how far are you going out?
Yeah. And then now, see, I can go up.
Nice.
But
And the transition's a lot smoother.
Yeah. And if you noticed, he's like really like insaniac mode with it because...
I like that word.
Yeah, why? Well...
I'm sorry, insaniac's a cool word.
See how he spins all around?
Mm-hmm.
Like that. But hey, did you notice that, Groundhound?
Hold on. I'm sorry. I've been bent over my desk the whole time we've been talking, and it looks like I'm not going to get to work on the engine at all tonight. Hold on. Let me scoot back over here and have a look.
You're going to work on the engine because I'm about to go anyway.
No, I've got to finish writing up the rest of these identification cards.
So watch when he spawns here, or when he hits the marker, you'll see the ghost up in front of him.
Yep.
See it? Let me see if I can do it again if you didn't catch the first one.
Yeah.
See, it barely made one up there in front of him. But it's better than it was before. It was way
Yes. Better. So I would actually okay, so here's the thing. I would put deactivate right at the very start of the release. Like on completed, I would put deactivate right there. Because if there's any delay after that, then the delay is going to be because of the Niagara system itself.
Well, it's because I've got him on a timeline, so it was waiting for the
Yeah, there's a 0.2 delay right in there as well. So I'm seeing like that little 0.2 delay. Yeah, so I would run that straight off of your completed. Hit your compile save on that.
It should be fine now, but yeah, I needed to test that out because I mean it wasn't horrible looking, but still.
But it's a thing you notice, and you might as well polish it.
Yeah. It's ooh, that made it worse. That's like what it was doing before.
Interesting.
It's throwing it. It's like it's. I think it's like it's adjusting to the new camera position. Maybe I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Because it is. So the thing is, it's always going to be adjusting since it's attached to your character. It's going to be related to the character's own movement position there. So,
So I don't guess there's any difference between deactivate and destroy.
If you
destroy would get rid.
Destroy would eliminate the entire component, and you would have to create a new component there.
So that's super dumb. Okay, so let's go back to the.
What I'm confused by is why this is not why deactivate isn't immediately turning it off here, but it was doing something correctly before.
Why don't you make a quick debug log just saying, hey, this component is deactivated or not, like right after, just to see, because it shouldn't print if it is deactivated.
Right.
Well, that is true.
Yeah, do some print text there. Get the last of this written up.
Yeah, if I touch the engine tonight, I'm not gonna make any progress on anything because it's like 1 in the morning, but.
Okay.
I gotta break out sysadmin stuff either tomorrow or Monday and see how much I remember.
Nope, it's not deactivating. Well, no, I guess it is since it did print. Prints 1 hello.
Okay.
As soon as I let it go, bam, deactivate. But see, it doesn't always do the same thing. Like, see, that one is a way less. It just barely does.
It's because of how it's cleaning up the system.
Yeah.
When it deactivates, it's garbage collecting the deactivate.
Okay.
You might need to talk directly to the Niagara system, then turn it on and off through the Niagara system.
So, like, do it in the particle system itself, or?
Yeah, and then talk to it through a Niagara parameter.
Ah, I see.
Oh, it's too late for that right now.
Right. Well, I'm surprised because Mike said this was a good way to do it, and so it might be just an in-editor thing because I know Niagara does some weird stuff in editor sometimes. But
well, it's a lot better than it was, and so just that real quick ghost, I think I can live with that for now.
Right.
I do want to clean it up the rest of the way if possible, but see, it's so faint now. Like before, it was like you could definitely see like a secondary system still active. Like now, all you see is just one little tiny black swirl, and it's not that bad. You see, just barely see it.
And separate is, I don't think there's a way to decouple a component from its owner's position, right?
No, because the component should be attached to the,
it's the root component there, so there's no way to detach it. Because another workaround you could do would be to, instead of leaving it there, you could have it as. Well, there's an interesting thought. So remember how you were spawning an actor before? What you could do is you could do a paired actor instead, where instead of it being an actor, you do a child actor. Okay, so in this class, instead of having a component that is a Niagara system, you do a child actor.
Since it's already an actor.
Well, yeah, you would just have a child actor, and then you would tell that child actor to move to a certain position. Because I think child actors can have their position completely independent of the parents. I'd have to look.
Yeah, I'll probably fool with it tomorrow, maybe.
Oh, you have something paired or independent otherwise. So that way, even though it is ghosting, it's ghosting at the original position you were at, or the original position you want it to be, not at like a forward position. So then the player would just think, oh, okay, that's the after effect of the little thing at the position I'm going to. That's intended.
Well, there's always other ways to mask those imperfections.
Right, and like I said, you can go in and edit the Niagara system and talk to it through a blueprint to
You
Niagara
didn't even,
parameter.
I didn't even notice it that like it didn't seem like it did it that time.
Right, and that's the annoying thing about intermittent issues.
It's not even like doing it anymore. Really, it's just like it's just the very faintest thing. So I think it's good. I really do. I mean,
I'd be that still occurs in a packaged project because it might be like I said, an editor cleanup thing for the Niagara system. Whereas in a packaged project, it would be much more strict. Package shipping, mind you, not package developmental.
So if I run over here, you'll see, and I'll try not to get dead, but you see how much smaller he is compared to these guys. And my AI is stupid if you didn't notice. They don't see good.
Well, they can see good if you want to start putting AI perception in there and behavior trees, but yes, I think that's probably intentional.
I hate behavior trees.
Honestly, I'm not much of an AI person either. It takes me a little bit. It's not one of my strongest areas.
Well, you can try state trees. They're shiny and new in 5.2.
Are they better than?
I think they might be in 5.1. They have new opportunities and stuff like that. I mean, heck, go get that hierarchical instance AI thing for $200 that Nordic loves so much.
What, logic or whatever?
Yeah, the hierarchical logic AI driver majigama thing that he's got. It's good stuff.
Yeah, there's that and somebody else who I know who got it at a discount because he like hung out with the guy who made the plugin. Also talks a whole lot about it.
It's fantastic. I'm like, behavior trees are good enough for me, folks, but y'all enjoy your fancy shenaniganry.
Yeah. Well, man, I tell you what, it's an add-on for $200.
Yes, indeed. It better be good.
Let me just check this out. Let's see. What is it called? The
hierarchical AI logic or something like that.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, it's a pretty amazing piece of work from everything I've heard.
I'm just typing in AI. We'll see what we get here. We got multiplayer, wise, feline.
I'm gonna hate myself doing this admin and stuff.
Hierarchical.
Groundhog, off the top of your head, do you know any good libraries, whatever, for like wrapping C++ classes for Python? I've heard Booster was decent.
Wrapping a C++ class for Python. If it's already in C++, why would you want to put it in Python? I don't know. I don't know anything off the top of my head. That sounds like heresy.
Yeah, right. I don't want to do Python, but one of my gigs uses like Go, so.
No, I'm not familiar with anything for wrapping a C++ class for Python. I didn't know that was something you could do.
I've never done it. I'm sure it's not
hierarchical task network planning AI.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, this is $300.
Oh, it's 300 now.
Ew, it went up.
You know how it is, Bidenomics. We're told it's amazing.
Let me just website.
We're told the same thing about Carter.
Yeah.
I can't believe he's still kicking. Good on him.
Well, you know how it is when you're a peanut farmer.
AI that plans
you draw your strength from the soil.
Create flexible
like
character AI that can make and remake complex plans on the fly.
I have to check. Is he 96 or 97?
So this is basically like super enhanced. What you call it? This is super enhanced behavior trees.
There's a reason they named a nuclear submarine after him, I figure.
Oh, dude, his birthday's like super close to mine. What the hell?
The Call of the Peanut Farmer, Sephiroth.
Nuts. It's too close. I like peanut.
Oh God.
You are the next incarnation of Jimmy Carter. This
I
is
don't
how
know if I
he is
wanna
so
say it's a
old.
good or bad thing. Yeah.
He feeds upon the next incarnations and takes their years of life, that he might himself never truly die.
I just do that by, bloodletting. But,
It's like
their own.
I could just see it now, like that scene in Soul Reaver. He's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"What is this pitiful form that I have come to inhabit? I am destroyed." He's
Honestly, that sounds like
"You
something I
are
would say.
you are reborn."
See, I talk edgy enough for that to just be like a regular statement for me.
Yeah.
Here, I'll tell you a funny story. So, about like 2 years ago, I was in my final semester of college, and I decided to do something really crazy. And I was just it was
Completely
just
out of character for
really
you.
What? Who?
You, completely out of character for you to do something totally crazy.
Oh, I know, right? So, I just got like the vaccine, right? So I bring my old dinosaur like mask, right? And I'm like, well, this isn't enough to just wear this during class and to just hold meetings in it, right? So I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna memorize part of the Epic of Gilgamesh in the original Babylonian, right? As one does.
So you went on YouTube and you looked up the reading of Gilgamesh in the original Babylonian.
Yeah, so I just, I committed it to memory, right? Well, part of it. I didn't memorize the entire thing. But anyway, so I get out of work and I just head downstairs to my class, and I basically am waiting for one of my friends to get in so that he could be lookout for when the, professor gets in, right? And I'm like, oh, is this guy here yet? He's like, yes, I am. So I'm like, oh, good. So I pop my head out and I start belting it out, and just looks at me and it's like, yeah, okay. Anything else you wanted to tell me? Oh, no, we're good. And I just held the meetings for my class because I was the lead programmer for the project for the rest of the day, and one of the people just comes up to me, and it takes him like half a class to realize that I'm wearing like a fucking T-Rex mask, and he's just like, I thought you had like a haircut or something. I'm like, yeah, that's it. That's what's different about
Oh,
me.
so you had a full head mask.
Oh,
Not
yeah,
even
yeah.
partial stuff, because you were like, if we're going to be protecting ourselves, so you like me with my Milsurp gas mask.
You know what's terrible is, like, about a year ago for a Halloween party, I thought I had full gas masks, and I just don't. Apparently I got rid of them. All I have now is just the little respirators.
Oh, the 3M ones, yeah.
Yeah, like, cause I was gonna do like a really cheap Psycho Mantis from like Metal Gear, cause I realized I basically have all the components for that. I just like, as long as I have a gas mask, I'm good to go. And apparently I don't have them anymore.
Oh, shucks.
I know, right? I mean, I improvised, ended up doing Buff Riku from Kingdom Hearts, so it worked out, but...
But you wanted to be the creepy floaty kid with the red hair.
Well, you know what? It may have been just as well because the party was mostly outdoors and it was really cold.
I thought the original PlayStation Metal Gear Solid, the whole Psycho Mantis battle, I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Oh, it's so cool. Yeah.
Did you have to switch controller ports?
It's like even the GameCube remake did a pretty good job.
But it was like you switched your controller over and he's like, wait, how are you doing that? Oh my god, I can't read your mind.
You
it's
have,
like
certain save data like stuff from like Castlevania too. You'll like comment on it. It's so sick.
that was the greatest, as far as like in my limited experience playing games on consoles, that was like something I was like, are you kidding me? Because I couldn't beat him, and I was getting mad, and I was like, went and got one of my boys, and I was like, how do you beat this dude? And my friend said you had to switch the controller. I was like, what do you mean switch the controller? He's like, you gotta put it in player 2. I'm like, that's not gonna work. How's that gonna work? We did it, and I was like, yeah, this is cool.
I classic Metal Gear.
Yeah, I imagine Hideo Kojima's a saint over there at Prima Games.
Yeah. The legacy.
Oh, Prima Games. If their guides hadn't gone to garbage, they would have been. I mean, really, I was always more of a Cyrex guy myself. Or Cybex. I can never pronounce it right. Cybex.
I don't even remember when they went out of business.
I don't think Prime ever actually went out of business. I think they just went to being a pure collectibles company. But Cybex, I want to say 2005 or something around there.
Yeah, because I know it was when I was younger. Because yeah, Prima Games, I have one of the last books they printed, which was Breath of the Wild. And oh no, I'm sorry, it wasn't Breath of the Wild. It was Smash.
It is
Yeah.
poppin' in Unreal 5 versus 9.
It was it's funny because there came a certain point where I started collecting guidebooks for like the render art.
Yeah, and that's what they turned into essentially, because the guides themselves were, you could get it off game FAQs, you know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But you know, they provided me entertainment and stuff to trace on when I was in school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, you know, I would love to have really cool, out of the box, super good freaking hierarchical task network planning AI.
But you would love to have $300 in your bank account more.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really so much about the money. I'm thinking like I would add it and it wouldn't work.
Okay.
I don't know how
But
like
it's,
out of the box it is, but it's pretty powerful once you start to learn it.
Yeah, but it's an engine plug-in, so you install it, and then once you install it, then you can take advantage of whatever spoils that it has to offer you.
Bingo.
Yep.
But I bet as simple as my game is, so yeah, this is so basically it's like it's just better behavior trees is all it is from what I can see.
Right. So I mean, let's put it this way: even if you spent the $300 on the tool, if you don't really know what you want, like from a design perspective out of your AI, it's gonna be $300 that's not so well spent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright.
Oh my goodness.
So, on that note, I need to go ahead and call it a night. So everyone, good night. God bless. Sleep well.
Yeah.
Alright.
Later.
Talk to you later. Have a good night.
Good night.
It's time to go to JSON land.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, me too. Okay. How do I do this? Step 1. Where's that music?
Oh shit. I should not have messaged this person. He's like asleep.
Okay. Plate app, JSON. Okay, so I need to look up the JSON stuff. That's fine. Make server grant items to character request. Okay.
Oh god, everything is broken.
Okay. It is item IDs. So get field item ID. Why does it have to be a JSON? It doesn't. What is this?
this guy has a 50-song album about how much he hates another streamer.
I hope to be that hated one day.
Oh, that's awesome. How old is this? Oh, this is old!
Shit.
Okay.
Takes me 3 hours to create a 60-second animation. Really?
Okay, I have to listen to this whole thing. I'll speak to you people later.
Have fun. Okay, let's see if this works. I guess I have to build it out. This goes to the server. No, I just have to have a build up. Okay. Unlock version. Oh. Oh. I can just download the JSON. That's handy. Okay. Display name. Okay, I see. All right. I guess. Let's try it.
Okay. So I'm trying to have it transfer the I keys animation to the F keys, but for some reason it's kind of like ignoring because it has already keys. So there is few ways that we can deal with this. We can just delete them manually. You know, which I don't think I even need to do this. And what we could do, we can just select those channels and delete them, like right here. We can delete, and we can still get the same animation. But if we switch to I key, which we could do from here, if we switch to F key, I'm sorry, we would notice that some of the animations is entirely messed up. So I'm not sure why there is some animations on the shoulder. I don't get it. There shouldn't be. Or maybe because it's 100 animation, not if we delete this, then we would notice that we got nothing except on the head. Yeah, the head maybe. Okay, so let's just select everything again. This, that, this, and that's all we need. We kind of want the fingers, so that's what we're gonna keep. Delete. So now, excuse me. I think we only are getting this root, which we want it as well. So yeah, we're gonna keep this one. I think this animation is coming from the other one. So let's go ahead and test now. No, we messed up. This should be only 45. I'm not sure why I'm getting a run. Yeah, no. I don't know how far back we're gonna go right now, but it's better because I need to fix this before I continue. So if we check this and we select the FKs, right. 48, I think. 48, okay, so 48 it is, 48, and let's just select all the ones that we know that we don't need, especially anything to do with the feet. Those are FKs actually, but we have IKs as well for... Can you guys hear me? I have myself on mute.
Hello. Hello.
Okay. Now, if we switch from
So now I have these items.
yeah, okay.
Okay.
Then break it. Okay, this is exactly what we want. We basically cleaned off the animation and we only have the IK. Now, if we quickly went from IK to FK, and then we go back to here, it doesn't remove it by default, which is okay. You see, like, I'm not getting exact position, which I don't like. But I have no choice. Oh yeah, I have to select the joints. So what I'm gonna do is, before I do this, select these and delete. Now all we have to do is select everything and bake. Now if we go here and move it down, break the connection. It didn't send the animation, so I'm not sure why.
Okay, this seems to work. Actually, this does work.
Okay, so we're definitely not going with that approach. Breaking the keys are not what we're gonna do, because it doesn't seem to know how to bake it back together. Okay, so let's turn this on. Let's test it. So it's pretty cool, but it's not perfect. So the best thing to do here is tell it to IK to FK controllers. Okay, so extra controllers. Okay. Okay. Hold on a second. Yeah, of course it's gonna crash. We might have to do this. How long have I been streaming for? 2 hours. Holy crap. Okay, so let's open up my animation project. That is my animation project? Okay. So you see that we have it all the way to 48, and that was the mistake that we made before. Gotta remember these. They're so annoying. Okay, so let's might go to my picker. Find picker. Oh, how about now? Okay, and then if you go to bake, and then you bake the extra controllers, now we know for sure we're only using the controllers, regular controllers, and then from IK to FK. It should remove the keys, but it's not doing that. Not sure why, but my only guess at this point is that I would let's break it, break connection. Okay, so this is on, off, so we are getting some changes, and I kind of like the IK more. So we're gonna rebake everything by selecting this and that. So we're gonna select all the controllers that we need. That's it. By the way, the yellow one, we don't need it, but since we already selected it, let's just do that. And also the pool vectors, not these. If this is the problem, is that if we bake this, we still need the FKs. So yeah, let's just select all and go to bake, select it, all keyable. Let's do this. Okay, so if you noticed, we kind of baked let's delete this. Did something happen? No. So this is...
Is that literally just its name? Will this work? Who knows?
I think bake from IKs to FKs is not even working. So I'm gonna do it manually just to see the difference. So left arm, IK to FK. Okay. Looks like this one worked. So I have to do it manually because the plugin is broken. Yeah, this plugin has always been broken. Like there's always issues with this plugin. It never works out of the box. So it's like basically like it works now, but the fact that we had to do this, you know, like you see the difference now, it's beautiful, right? So we have to do it one by one. I think the guy that is making this plugin is like, I don't know, man, like your plugin needs to work. Like you can't be doing this. He also had like issues with the correct shapes for like years. And then it was an easy fix because like it works, but it just doesn't mirror. You know, what kind of shit is that? And then he has also issues with the eyes orientation that I had to like reconnect, which is bullshit. To be honest, it's just bullshit. Anyways, now this works. I am satisfied. So this is the problem here in the FKTIK. Disconnect this. Disconnect it. Let's see. Brick. And then also reset those. And then what you do is you bake the animation, and then you delete it and reset the pose. I think this. Oh yeah, you have to select everything. Select this layer. Reset the pose. Select everything and then press S. What you do then, you bake and then delete, and this would bring you back to the original pose, so that way you can continue working and you still have your animation. Okay? And also to make sure that you don't get any problems, you make sure that you right click on here and break connection. So whenever you turn off the layer, you have nothing that is going to override your settings. There's an issue with quick IK to FK from the first, and like once you use it once, it doesn't work anymore. So yeah, you could tell me what was the problem later on. What kind of bullshit this is on? I don't get it. All right. Anyways, let's work on the the second animation, which is this one. And straight out of the box, everything is ready to go. Let's go ahead and use our custom thing. Let's select it. Let's set everything to IKs. Hopefully it doesn't reset, but we'll see. Connect. Okay, and this is pretty much what we want. Let's see if we have any issues with arrow. Oh yeah, that eye rig. The handle given geometry data. It doesn't need to know how to handle it. It just leaves it alone, leave it alone. Seems good. Okay, so when we click bake, you see how that works? The first time I use this button, it works. So okay, so let's go ahead and use this button, and it doesn't. It says something to do with run bake before, and I did bake it. Not sure why is it not working. It's like it didn't bake for some reason. Let's see if we baked the animation like using this, and then we try to bake it. No, it doesn't work. Okay, that's not a problem, even though like this is gonna cause me issues now. So I'm just gonna Control Z that part. Okay, let's just do this manually because we need to fix the arms. So we have this. Remember, like there's two animation going on, and this will prevent it from working. So what we could do is select everything, bake it, turn it off and turn this on. Oh yeah, also we need to disconnect this. Actually, disconnect it. Okay, because those constraints could really mess you up. And then if everything works out, let's just go here and make sure you do the same thing. So this works for sure. You can see that this animation is 48. This animation is 100. Okay, this one or that one doesn't work. Not sure why. I think it's something to do with the I keys and the F keys conflicting. That could have been okay, so quick IK to FK, see if that works. Let's go ahead and make it IKs. Okay, so the IKs, see, they don't work. The FKs do work. Okay, once we disconnect it. Now demonstrate the other one. That works perfectly. Okay, so disable this one, go back here, and let's work on the base, the baked one. Okay, so FK to IK left arm. I'll show you why. It should work. Okay, so see how beautiful that is. Now do the same thing for the right arm. We don't need much, we just need to fix the arms. This is why we can't do this in Unreal Engine. I tried, it was a really bad. It wasn't really good. Oh my god, I really hope. Oh no, I made a mistake. That happens. I hope that I don't have to do much. I think I did fix the IKFK issue, maybe. No, I didn't. Okay. So IK to FK. Oops. No. Control Z. Okay. Do this. I have the wrong layer selected. Shit. Maybe that's why. Yeah, no problem. After you do this, you would have to disconnect the controllers. Reconnection. Now we have this one issue which we can fix, but it did work. So it was just this thing here needs to a little bit come down, but I don't think I need this here. Oh. Okay. So now you can't even tell. Everything is good. So it does work. It just it messes with switches. With those switches, the FKs and the IKs. Okay, let's do also the arm again. Select everything, make sure that you're on that layer. And let's do IK to FK, right arm. You see how that worked? And then again, every time you do this, it messes. So I wish I could like create my own selection, which I did before, but I lost the file. And if we switch it, we don't get any difference. Switch, 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 switch. Yeah. Beautifully done. Okay, and then we turn it off. We go here, reset the pose, then select everything. I'm not sure what's going on, but let's go ahead and rebake everything. Okay, so let's demonstrate. I always have to remind myself to disconnect those channels. I wish I could lock them, or not lock them, but like prevent them from being modified somehow. Otherwise I have to like keep breaking them, or the animation won't work. I would create custom selection so I can like select the FKs and the IKs quickly. I had this thing before, but I ended up removing them. Not cool. Not cool at all. Okay, so you can save now. And this is the first animation. The second animation, it should be out of the box. It's quite easy actually, because we have it prepared. So we just everything is already set up for me, and I'm gonna connect it straightforward, and it looks like it did not work the way I expected it to. Okay, so set it. Oh yeah, I had to choose the big version and then connect. Oh yeah, then connect exists. Okay, so for some reason I had to disconnect it. It was like connected all this time. So good thing that it didn't break anything. Let's bake. This is 100? Yeah, 100. Is there a way that, no, it doesn't. Okay, so we're done with this part. Actually, no. Let's disconnect. Oh man. Okay, anyways, let's disconnect, remove it. Okay, so the animation is actually on here. Okay, you can check it. Okay, maybe we need to select the layers before we press bake. Maybe we can try. No. No. Because once we disconnect, it's wait. Okay. So with this said, Okay. Let's go ahead and do some switching. So under pick IK to FK, which if we switch from IK to FK right now, is not gonna help. Why? Because this thing, yeah, so we don't have any FKs. So we could only switch the ones that we need. Okay, he's doing a good job. And the right arm. Okay, let's do everything. And this is gonna help us to retarget everything after, because we need to have like those two poses. Those are like the two main ones. We're gonna have to rename also Jest to something else. Line. And that is the FK to IK. And I love how it automatically like did a lot of cool stuff for us. Okay. So this is it right here. You see, like, I don't understand how is it like switching. Yeah, like I don't want it to switch. But anyways, let's go ahead and compare a few things. You see how like the arm is like right here? That's what we're gonna do, is we're gonna bring this here, bring this here, and like that. Bring this here, push it far away. Push it far away. And if we push it like far enough, so that way it doesn't bother us. For those two, we're going to actually key them, and we're going to delete everything else. Okay, because we don't want them to be anywhere. For this one, we cannot do this, so I made that mistake before, so let's not make it again. Select everything and apply an overlay. Okay, so I can come back in this layer. Shit. We can't afford mistakes. You know what? Since I've been working for 2 hours, I know we created one animation, but we now developed a workflow, and we're gonna be able to finish 330 animations tomorrow. I think. Probably like 10 or 20 hours. It takes time because we're cleaning animation. We're not just copying and pasting now. It's too much work. But at least right now we are in the house. Look at him holding that rock. Going to beat someone up with it. Not really though. He's gonna break a tree. Look how beautiful the skinway. Let's stop and actually test some stuff. How beautiful that is. You can still fine tune everything. And then from within this scene I could explore everything, including the animation. Not to mention that there is facial. And that right here, my brothers, it's why are there skis? Oh yeah, only because of the blend shapes. I would like to add one second. Okay, so those are all the controllers. Let's add selected object. What is this one? So this is under the system. No? Can we add this one too? No. Okay, so it looks like we got almost everything set up. We delete those two. I don't think we're gonna affect. Oh shit. Okay, so we're actually gonna delete this one because the animation is on it. And that's it. Oh yeah. I haven't done animation for a few years now, and I do miss it. You know, like I was kind of like affected by like all those talk about like how like the retargeting is going to replace like our jobs, and I felt like, oh, I should like learn other things. But now that I see um, how those tools are being used, and how they are like not really delivering what they have promised. And I'm gonna show this really quick on compared to what we have here. Okay, let's compare this, right? Like, look how beautiful the feet is running, and even though like we can still control and apply some like easily, we can easily like move them up, which we're gonna do that right now actually. So if we select, and then we can come back here, turn our controllers back on, grab this. Remember, we're on that layer. Not sure why this happened, so I'm just gonna Control Z. Okay, so this is the layer. So let's go ahead and select everything. Come back here and create a new layer. Okay, and then that layer would be merged with this layer, but what we need this layer for is we can come back here and let's move it up. Like that, and move it up to match exactly this grid. And now when we play the whole animation, we noticed that the feet is perfectly aligned with I hope that because this is gonna try to so we're gonna have to find the value that we like without crashing. Oh, the engine is opening, I think. Let me demonstrate like what I wanted to show you guys. Is that if we use that same animation here and we looked at it, we migrate it, or we export it, and then we demonstrate the difference. Like, look at this. It's like literally like, look how messed up the legs are. And you could tell me settings, but I don't think it's settings.